Welcome. Your microphone's not on.
Welcome everyone to our July 30th, 2027 budget meeting. I'd like to welcome you all here and please stand, remove your lids and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hoorah. Hoorah. I don't know why.
I don't know either.
Okay. Patty, would you please call roll?
Dan,
Here.
Don,
Here.
Wanda, here, Ryan, John.
Here. Any of the commissioners have any conflict of interest?
I do not.
Do not.
I do not.
I do not.
I would move approval of the agenda.
Second.
Got a motion by Wanda, second by Dan to approve our agenda for this morning. All in favor, aye.
I
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Now is the time for public comment. Public comment is a time for persons to address this body on any subject. No action may be taken on a matter raised under this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an item upon which action will be taken. Each person has up to 3 minutes to speak. There shall be no personal attacks against the members of this body, county staff, individual, or organizations. The chair has the authority to enforce this policy. Future failure to adhere to these rules may result in forfeiture of the remaining speaking time. Per county policy, the Yankton County Commissioners will not engage in conversation or make statements during public comment. Do you have anyone to speak? Seeing no one running up to the microphone, public comment is closed. The canvas for the runoff election. You got that set up? We all got a chance to look this over.
Yeah. Move approval of the canvas.
Motion by Dan, second by Wanda to approve the canvas of the runoff. Any further discussion?
Anybody from the public discuss it? Nope.
Any comments there? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We will now begin our 2027 budget hearings.
Oh,
Patty, you're number one?
you put it down there because you think she's shorter than?
No, I allow her to adjust it where she
Oh,
wants it.
okay. Thank you. Let the record show Mr. Heine has arrived.
Good morning, all.
Morning.
I didn't do a whole lot of changes in mine. Did the 2.5% on salaries as we were discussed. And then my other stuff, I did increase supplies by $1,000 because postage has gone up and it's costing us a lot to mail stuff out. I dropped a couple of things based upon history. Insurance, I did do 11% increase because we were told anywhere from 10 to 12. Other than that, my budget's pretty simple.
Patty, question for you. I know former Commissioner Loest advised us that we should force you to get rid of several employees to
No.
save money. And could you talk about the negative consequences of that? Because I come in here sometimes and I see the line out the door. And I think you're one of the departments that, when you're busy, you're swamped. And there are days maybe where you're not quite so busy, but you're doing other things. But I mean, I would imagine if we listen to her, wait times would massively increase. Is that
We wouldn't
correct?
get anybody, we wouldn't
Okay.
get everybody through in a day.
Yeah,
And honestly, that's
Mhm.
piss poor customer service.
I agree.
And I
You
would
guys do a
I would
great
never
job.
do that to my team because it's really just,
Yeah.
for example,
Mhm.
I have one out on vacation this week.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had one out sick. So with only 3 of us there,
Mhm.
everybody has to adjust their lunches because we
Yeah.
cannot just leave one person at the
Mhm.
counter. It does not work. It will
Mhm.
never, ever work.
Okay.
And it's very discouraging when you're up there.
Mhm.
You get your break for lunch. You have
Yeah.
to run out to get your break for lunch. You're lucky if you get a bathroom break.
Mhm.
And, you know, when you're standing there for 2 to 3 hours and you're looking at a sea of people, it's
Yeah.
really discouraging. It's disheartening. And I would never do
Yeah.
that to my team.
Yeah, no, they work hard and I've seen many times like the long, even with the full staff, those long wait lines, and I just don't think that would be fair to.
We don't
Turn
get
that-
through mail in a day and we can't answer phones. I'm sure you guys all know that
Yeah.
because you probably all heard about that.
Well,
We can't, you know, you're standing at the counter, you can't just walk away from a live body to go pick up a phone. And then 90% of the time, it's somebody that doesn't even live in South Dakota and they want to do something over the phone. They want to register their vehicle or they want a title in South Dakota.
Are we still getting a lot of those?
Oh, God, yes.
Okay. Is there anything that, like policy wise, we could do to like assist you and reduce it? Because from my conversations with you, we basically just break even because we have to pay for the mailing fee to send that out, which is significant. And
We're
the
not
state-
even getting ahead on mail
Well,
fees.
and the reality is the state of South Dakota benefits because they collect a lot of the fees. They
Mhm.
have none of the staff time, none of the mailing, and it's almost a detriment for us and the staff to do that in a lot of ways.
That's why a lot of counties around us aren't doing it anymore.
Is
For
that
that
something-
very, I asked for some numbers from the state at one point because there was some law up in session.
Yeah.
And then that law got killed.
Yeah.
So I didn't get the figures. I mean, I could put the pencil to it, but I'm not so sure it's worth it.
Would it be,
Well-
would it be possible to utilize, an appointment, system?
I'd have to say no to that because how are they gonna make the appointment? Call? You know, book it online, you know, then we'd have to check, you know, back to answer.
My thoughts were if somebody was coming to town and they wanted to get a time, they'd be pretty happy not to have to stand in line.
well, why don't they just come to the counter and get their stuff done instead of come to the counter and make an appointment?
Yeah, either way, we're not gonna get rid of lines. I mean, I wish there were some sort of magic pill for that.
Well, and
We're not gonna get rid of lines.
in fairness, I came to the treasurer's office 2 weeks ago to get a tag that I apparently had missed when I picked up my other tags. And I stood in line for a bit, but it moved right along, you know, and unfortunately,
Because we have all the windows occupied for the
Well,
most part.
no, we only had 2
Okay,
people, which is fine because it was like noonish. And
right.
people come with a title and they want to, you know, get a title, and there's a lot of things that go with that. And then there's some people that don't speak the best English, and that is somewhat problematic, but it moved right along. I mean, you just stand in line, you visit.
I appreciate that.
Has it gotten easier with the state, that new state system?
No.
Or it's still bad?
No.
Okay.
That's a definite no.
No.
That's part of the problem.
I would almost think though, in the second year of that new program, that people would maybe not wait till the last day of the month to
I
get their
think that's
license.
one.
No, they don't.
I know.
It doesn't happen that way.
Well, you know, if you're that concerned about it, people can order them over the mail. And they may or may not come because I know somebody who ordered them over the mail in May, but not from here. And they still haven't arrived yet because apparently they're being walked from wherever.
That might be more efficient.
Would there be any opportunity to like utilize, I know like they used to have kiosks, is that, do they do that anymore? Are we not the proper size for that? What do
Yeah,
you-
no, there's plenty of kiosks out there. We had one in Hy-Vee.
Yeah.
Well, then the existing kiosks were obsolete, so they were replacing them with larger
Mhm.
kiosks. And Hy-Vee didn't want to accommodate us because they would have had to have remodeled. So it got moved to Vermillion.
Which is also an extra expense to update, and my use of the kiosks was not a favorable one. I'd rather deal with a person.
Well, and I think Hy-Vee their customer service was having to deal with it, and we don't even have anything to do with them.
Yeah,
He would have no idea.
it was a nightmare.
So how would your office work if you had a part-time person for the last 2 weeks of the month?
An additional part-time person?
No, a part-time person.
You
Right.
mean go from one full-time to a part-time?
That would be worse at the end of the month.
Is it doable?
I mean, if it has to be done, it has to be done, but it's not good customer service. Because then the lines are even longer. And you know, what hours does that person work? I mean,
Well, that's why the department head, our leader, they have to figure that out and get it done. We gotta get our budget down.
we got it figured out with the 5 of us. We run pretty
Yeah,
smooth.
yeah, and if everybody in the county did the same thing, their whole team, there'd be no change. It'd be the same.
Well, if everybody in the
It's because
county
it's been
obeyed the
working.
law, we wouldn't need as many deputies.
Cut expenses and still service the customer.
And those are,
So I have some budget related questions really quick, if you.
Okay.
So really first off in the budget, do you have any major software subscriptions that are in your budget right now? Or is there any like IT that you have like that's in your budget?
no,
Okay,
I think we kind of nixed that last year?
yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the 2 items I noticed in here on the current budget, insurance and supplies. It seems like, you know, based on what you've spent so far this year and what you have budgeted, that seems like under budgeted right now.
It seems
Is there a,
It's kind of a crapshoot.
yeah,
We don't know what insurance is gonna be.
Right.
You know, it's gonna be-
I think,
the insurance, what's the insurance? What's going under the insurance other than, see, that's obviously not the.
Liability.
Liability, just the liability, okay. And then under supplies, yeah, it's just historically, it seems like you're gonna go over, and it looks like this year you're gonna go over budget on supplies.
You know, and unfortunately, I think it's gonna go up, keep going up this year.
Yeah.
Next year.
That's what I'm concerned about. This is a case for our budget. Maybe this is under budgeted. And I know we want to cut, what we need to do is cut expenses, but we can't shoot ourselves in the foot by under budgeting and not working with a real picture. That's gonna hurt us too.
She hasn't gone over budget.
yeah, we've been
Yet,
pretty
though.
close.
On
But this
supplies.
is, the year to date, we have
9237.
92.
Year to date's kind of misleading
Yeah.
because I have a huge expenditure in January of like $7,000 for when our tax notices go out. So that's half of my budget right there. But then I just nickel and dime it the rest of the year.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, that's good-
it's,
good
it's,
to know
yeah,
that.
yeah, it's kind of misleading
okay, thanks. for
because you
that,
can't
yeah.
really use. you
But
know,
even still in the previous years, 2 of the previous years, you were over 14,000, so it might be a little bit slim there, but I just want to highlight those areas because most importantly, our budget should be an accurate picture of what we need to spend. And then we got to go look at how we can cut those expenses. Like I just want to have the accurate picture.
Well, and ideally, we're going to scanners. So
Mhm.
hopefully we're going to cut down on paper usage.
Yeah,
Because
that's a great
our
idea.
paper
there.
usage is crazy.
Yeah.
I've been through 10 or 11
Sure.
cases of paper this year.
Now, we talked about kiosks and stuff, but
Yeah. True.
I've ordered 2 pallets of paper. So,
Well,
by comparison, that's not so much.
yeah.
it is for someone green like me. That's too much.
I just thought, listening into the conversation here too, is like, we talked about kiosks, but is there maybe a software solution that might help cut a cost someplace? Have you seen or heard or even just anything like that?
Wouldn't that be another subscription cost then?
It would be, but you know, if you've heard of anything, yeah, it might not be the real thing, because yeah, you always have to evaluate everything, you know.
There's been talk in the past about like doing sort of an, our tax notices being emailed to people who opt for that. I haven't heard anything more about it recently.
Yeah,
I think that'd require a state law change too, which from what I've seen, I mean, they tried to force us to do, even more mailings last year in a lot of those state bills. So I don't see that as changing, but. All right, I think this looks good, and let's keep
Yeah.
on trucking, guys. So
yeah, I think so.
thank you.
Have a good
Appreciate
day.
what you do. Then please thank your team for everything they do. Welcome.
Right. So, my budget is up, 11,700. That's, 3.8%. That's, a little more than I normally budget. My 10-year average is actually 3.1%. I can explain the difference in the 3.8 and the 3.1 is about $2,000. And my situation is I have two full-time employees. And one's been with me 20 years and one's been with me 15 years. And so they generate a fair amount of sick time and vacation time. But they don't always like to use it. They prefer sometimes to cash it in. This year I had to turn one of them down because my budget is so tight. But I think they earn that. And if they want to cash in one of their 2 weeks, I think they should have the right to do that. So that's the reason for about a $2,000 increase above the 2.5% cost of living raise. As far as everything else, I've tried to trim where I could. I've tried to hold the line on items such as supplies, despite what Patty said about postage. That's certainly true. And we have a lot of postage. I cut my travel budget from 2,100 to 900. And what that reflects is as a money saving measure, I'm going to skip the convention to Rapid City. Those get kind of expensive.
900 or 800?
Well, you know what I think is going on there?
Because
'Cause
mine,
I had two.
mine says 800.
I had two and they're very
There's a
similar.
Revised one,
I gave you a
separate sheet.
revised one there.
And I should have just told Patty to pull out the one that you were just looking at. But there's not much difference. Except what you just said, $100 difference in travel budget. And so I think I'm going to skip that Rapid City convention and just try to keep up best I can with videos from the sessions. That you can buy those for a lesser cost than attending. That's about the size of it. Tried to hold the line. Last year, effective this year, my budget actually went down from 25 to 26. So that's probably another factor. And I understand, what the Director of Equalization told us is that we can only increase our property taxes this year by 3.4%. So if you take our combined general fund budget and highway budget, those add up to 20 million. 3.4% of that is 680,000. That's for all the departments. And so that's not a lot to spread around. We just have to do our best.
Patty, did everybody do a 2.5%?
Yes,
That was, okay, great.
I believe so. I told everybody to
That's
do
what it
that.
was, all right. Brian, again, great job with the budget. I don't see any areas that could be improved. You always have a pretty lean budget, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
Tell your employees how much we appreciate them as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm lucky to have them. They're good attendance. Does cost a little bit, but I think it's well worth it.
I'm gonna sound like a broker. I'm almost the same question. Do you have any like hidden IT or software subscriptions in your budget right now, or?
No, as far as IT, Ryan, I'm fortunate. A number of years ago, 15 years ago, maybe, the registers of deeds offices were able to start what they call a modernization and preservation fund, which is essentially a technology fund. And that can include software, that can include actual hardware, but so that fund has accumulated at a faster pace than I can spend it. I think right now it's actually at about 150,000. And I don't think I'm even spending 10,000 a year, and I'm gaining about 15,000 a year. So unfortunately, as it stands at this moment, statute requires that that be spent in the Register of Deeds office because that's where the fund is accumulated. But I would not be opposed at some point in the future of some legislation where I could share some of my excess with other departments. But anyway, as far as IT expenses, that's not a concern of mine due to that fund.
It sounds like we should have something like that for our county-wide.
Good luck.
Maybe we should set
Yeah.
the servers up in his office.
Well, we can try to do something creatively, you know, the state auditors look at what we're spending that on, and I've never really been called on anything yet, so
Okay.
They don't like all that money sitting there though either.
we should, and I don't know that every county is like me, maybe they're spending theirs and don't have a, you know, a carryover like that, but I would not be opposed to doing that. I know one thing we've talked about, Patty and I, is maybe digitizing some of your old minutes books and getting those online. Wouldn't be cheap, but if I could think of a way to justify using that fund, I will.
It'd be nice, you know, the old minutes, if they were digitized and somehow searchable
Yeah.
by, you know, if we wanted to know, for example, you know, expenditures for a certain bridge and you could search that, that'd be really helpful.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been spending a fair amount of time in Patty's vault looking at those books, and there's a lot of interesting history there. For instance, you know, we have 17 highway department employees, and I think Mike does an amazing job with that small of a group getting the job done. 70 years ago, we had 40 highway employees, and I know it was more labor intensive then, and so on, but it just shows you that times have changed, I guess.
So Brian, would there be an opportunity that we could make an agreement with another county and combine?
Are you talking about like combining the whole office?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. That would be tricky, I think.
I don't think state law allows for
No,
that.
I think there definitely have to be some statutory changes made. There is one county out West River where they combined the operations. And so the Register of Deeds out there is
Two
Todd,
counties.
pardon me?
Is it Todd County?
Yeah, Todd County. So anyway, that office handles both counties' real estate and vital records needs. And then the county that is being taken care of, they subsidize them, of course, but
That's an unorganized county too, which is a little different too, because they don't have the traditional departments like, you know, what is it, Todd and Ogallala, Lakota are the
That's
other
right.
two. Technically, they're considered an unorganized county, so. all they really
so they're
have-
combined with TRIP, which is
Yeah.
winter, I believe.
I don't have any more questions, Mr. Chair. So thank you, Brian. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Do we start here now in order?
Or Robbins.
Ralph texted me, said he had a walk-in veteran and he'll be down as soon as it's
Okay.
done, if that'll work.
Who?
So,
Rob.
Veteran
Oh,
Service
okay.
Officer.
Gary, you want to fill in this time slot?
Good morning. Mine's a little unique, as you all know, because I had to do an estimated cost, but overall, I think as you read through it, I ended up with a decrease of almost $4,700. So I don't know if there's any specific questions for Ryan as far as IT. The only software I currently have is ArcGIS. That was like $1,750 for the current license this year. It usually goes up a little bit each year. Plus, there was a little added cost for our building permit system too that goes through EM and things. So, but overall, that's something down the line that depending on who the new person is, they may not even need ArcGIS down the line, because our flood stuff now is on different systems. Elevations can be found through on the internet, and there's a layer for that. And if they don't have that background, they may not need that in the future, but
And is that in your budget someplace in the?
it is in the repairs and maintenance portion.
Okay,
That, so I did obviously put it in this year's, not knowing who that person might be,
okay.
but down the line, that may go away. Currently, I'm at 53.8% of this year's budget, so we're pretty close. And a lot of that, like Patty said, is like the District 3 cost goes out front at the beginning of the year, so that's the majority.
What does publishings consist of?
Mostly all the notices for
Oh.
the meetings.
Okay,
Yeah.
the legal. news-
Yep, the legal
Okay.
stuff. So that varies a lot, and depending on how many things you're doing each year.
Yeah.
And repair, like everybody, supplies is always a concern, but repairs and maintenance too, you just never know for sure. But this year the vehicle needed 4 tires or something, and so it jacks the price up all of a sudden. Or if a engine goes or something, who knows? Part of that all comes down to having, as we've discussed in the past, if you're gonna have plans down the line of when you change those supply vehicles.
And the personnel, it's just you and Bill.
Bill.
Okay, because I think technically you have a third.
Yeah, but we put that in
department.
Justin's building budget.
Oh,
He
okay.
splits his time between safety center and here, so.
Okay,
Are you talking about the code enforcement?
code enforcement.
That
yeah.
was
Oh.
budgeted
But
in
it's
like
never-
2018, and then we've never
But it's never been jumped,
budgeted
so
for it
Yeah.
after that, so
Yeah, I
think
just was wanting to make sure that that's the case.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about Justin,
Oh.
since he's under me technically too, and
Yeah,
his is in his building budget.
yeah. So, okay.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Michelle.
Thanks.
is this an updated one?
No.
Okay.
Good morning, commissioners. So I submitted 2 budgets. One for our current 5 staff and one for our full staff of 6 people. When we had individuals leave our office, you guys asked me not to refill them. So we did not. So we are down to 1 staff person, 1 appraiser. Let's see, so it's pretty basic. I did go back and I did do group insurance at 12%, which finding out after I submitted it, everybody else did 11%. I did recalculate it. It's $500 less. If that needs to be changed, that's okay, whatever needs to be done. Within operating expenses, I know you guys had a concern about our professional services and fees for 2026, that we had to increase those. Those of course are back down to where they were before, for 25 at $2,500. I reduced publishings because it just seems like we had just a little bit in there. I mean, I truly went, as I did last year and I do every year, is I go nickel and dime every single possible thing. Our travel expenses, our educational expenses are up slightly simply because the location of where our state required workshops and school and conferences are across the state.
And
Tyler,
that's really-
Tyler,
valuable for you, you guys have to go
It's
to
re-
get the updates on how to assess and all of that.
It's required by
Yeah.
codified law
Yeah.
or administrative rule.
Exactly.
one or the other.
So I mean, yeah, and that's a good point that you bring that up where this travel is not really optional for your department.
It's not
Yes,
optional.
and I'm glad you're letting citizens know that, so, because they have to maintain that certification, they have to go to these trainings, and it's put on by the state, is that correct? By the-
Yep, the state of South Dakota in conjunction with our Assessors Association.
And,
both
and
have-
it's probably really important because, I mean, you've seen all kinds of law changes with assessing and taxes and they're, all the different
Very.
court rulings that are happening now and you have to stay up to date on
Yes,
it.
and
So,
they have educational sessions at all of them. School is a week long of sitting in a classroom learning. You're
Mhm.
required to be tested. Conference is not only educational sessions, but also being able to communicate and talk with other assessors across the state on how would you address this issue or how would you do this? And it's very invaluable to all of our appraisers. Supplies I'm sorry.
If I miss this, I apologize in advance. Software and licensing went up considerably.
It did. So and how I calculate that is I look at the previous, what we've had before and previous increases for those software and licensing and just continued that forward. So for example, our CAMA system went up 8%, our cost tables went up 7%. Other items went up 10%. So it just really depends on what historically they have done. And that's how I estimated it. We did have less. Our Esri, we're no longer using that specific license, so that is no longer in there. But the other, the technology is there. This year, it will be very, very close if we don't go over.
We're very, very close to the 39 from last year, or very, very close to the 45 you had.
39 to the 39.
So you think without that one, it'll go up 6,000?
With that, I'm sorry.
You still think it will go up
I
6,000?
do. I am, yes. Counting on, just the rate changes for the different vendors. I did only increase supplies by 1,000, which if you pencil out just postage alone and the increase in postage, that is not enough. Most everything really kind of stayed the same, utilities, repairs and maintenance. I did leave where it was, like Gary was saying, let's hope engine doesn't go out, or, we did have to put some tires on this year, and you just do with what you can.
Michelle,
anticipate that.
for salary, you're budgeting for 5 instead of 6, is that correct? Or are you?
Well, I submitted both budgets for you.
Okay.
For 5 staff members. It's a decrease for overall budget of 9.5%. For fully staffed, it's an increase of 3.3%.
And I really appreciate your willingness to work with us and I know it's probably not ideal going down one
It's
person.
going to be
but-
it is very hard to get everything done. We definitely, our reappraisal will be taking a hit on how soon we can visit properties. I mean, it's ideal to get them 7 years. We're currently at 10 years to physically view each property. We are going further than that, which is, your properties could change, don't have to change, but could change frequently. And we want the most accurate data.
Is there any tools that we can utilize out there that would help alleviate that?
When you asked earlier, I was thinking about that, and we did, in previous directors did look at mobile assessor. I have not heard, we did try to get that, and their technology was not ready for our CAMA system, basically. So we haven't been able to use that. I have not heard anything on the front of whether they are still trying to do it or not.
So let me ask you this, how much paperwork, just desk work, does the actual physical assessors do where someone else could do that for them while they're out assessing?
That's not really doable because the value and the opinion of the assessment is the appraiser's opinion. So if somebody else were to do their paperwork, it could be very skewed.
Why we have you here too, this is kind of budget related as well, but what you have to do is so much based on statute. And you have to assess property at a fair market price within the value. And I know there's so much concern that, well, values are going up because of the assessor's office, but really you're following state law on what you have to do. And there's really not a lot of choice there. I mean.
That's correct.
Yeah. And
We have to be, I'm sorry.
no, I mean, just if you could kind of speak on that. It's like state law is very clear on what you can do and there's not a lot of discretion in that. So.
Right. So we have to be at 85% of market countywide.
Mm.
Now with some of the new laws of capping on how much we can actually change, we barely get to 85. So, and you can see that by looking at our factor. So the closer you are to 85, the higher your factor is to 100. So if you're at 100% of market, your factor is going to be 85. So that's why ag productivity is at 85% for the factor. Our current 2026 factor is 0.975. So we are barely at, I think we're 86.5, whatever that math is. We're barely at state minimum in total values.
And if we can get that factor a little bit closer down, then when you have these fluctuations, there's a little bit of room to absorb and with the assessments. And so we can smooth out if we're closer to that 85%.
So, and which would mean values would be higher,
Mhm.
closer to 100% versus 85% of market. So it's, I mean, that's why that factor is there to.
Yeah. But if we can ease into that level and then people will feel like their assessments don't change as much if we can work within a range. With we get close to that 100%, you're kind of, you're bound.
Well, and we will also work off a median. So if we're at 85, well, 100 would be a better example. If we're at 100% of market, half of those, since we use medians, are over and half are under.
Yeah.
So that's the fine line that we have to be at.
Is there any options, and maybe you've done it, like our subscription fees for Beacon, have those been raised? Have we discussed that? Or
I actually plan to come to you guys here
okay.
as soon as I get the data. We need to definitely look at that as well as
Great.
maybe an add-on. And I guess I'll just kind of briefly touch on that.
Mhm.
Beacon has an add-on that we could,
Could charge.
well, we do charge, but we could charge by day. And it could all be
Other users.
yes. Yeah.
So random, let's say somebody wants to check out the value of Mr. Heine's hop farm.
Well, anybody can see the value, but certain other parts of it are subscription based. So if you want the sales, the building information, you need a subscription. So currently we have yearly, quarterly, and monthly. So, and all that is paid for and administered in our office. And if we look at this add-on, we could simply put it as a click of a button. I'm looking at buying this property because it's a foreclosure. What's the ins and outs of it? And it's Saturday night and it's opening Monday morning at 8 o'clock type of thing where they can click on it and pay a fee and get that. And honestly, looking at the numbers, I think it will pay for itself as well. I mean, Beacon definitely pays for itself.
No,
We
I
are
think that's a good
profit-making on
idea. Thank you for looking at
I just didn't want to
those ways.
do it right now. There's a
No,
lot
I'm
going
glad- I'm
on.
glad-
So
I'm glad you're-
I'll bombard you with all that.
And how's your vehicle situation right now? Like,
Well, next year will be interesting since our conferences and schools are West River. So, I don't trust them going West River. We'll probably be using our personal vehicles and carpooling to get to attend those. But, we currently have 3. Mike has been helpful in getting oil changes and maintenance on them. We are trying to save as much possible money as we can on what parts we need, where we can get them.
Mhm.
We had a cracked windshield, so, you know, there's windshield tires.
So when you're using personal vehicles for and you're getting mileage and everything, where's that being recorded? Is that all?
That is in travel.
Okay.
Yep, so that's why that number is where it's at.
And so that, do you have a figure about how much that's gonna be? Like how much the cost of using personal vehicles and compensating for that?
Possibly. Let me see if I have. It's substantial. So since, you know, we are going West River Deadwood Spearfish, it is, around $600 per event, per vehicle. For travel, mileage there and back only.
Just the mileage and back is $600.
If you carpool, that could be reduced though.
Right, but that's just one vehicle, so yes,
So, yeah.
I mean, that can't be reduced, we still have to go.
Mhm. And that's
Yeah,
so
but
that can add up fast. So it's one of those things that we have to consider when we're looking at when a capital improvement, like a new vehicle or making sure that our vehicles are current, or we can possibly save if we spend the right money. So I just
So
want to keep an eye
have a-
on that for all the commissioners.
Do we have a list of age, models, miles on the vehicles that you have?
Yep, I gave Justin what he needed for the safety committee, and Cassie has all that in inventory, I believe.
Mhm.
I do have, I check it periodically, the mileage on them, and I have a whole maintenance record for each car.
And I think, again, we've talked about this in the past about a vehicle pool type situation.
Hmm.
I really think that we can save money and have more reliable transport for our employees.
Yeah.
If we went to a model like that.
And I know, you know, our office, Gary's office would be heavily using those more so than others. I'm just thinking of this building. Versus, you know, Patty needs it for a couple weeks a year
Yeah.
or whatever.
Great.
Any other questions?
So how many of these $600 trips are you planning for next year?
Two?
So $1,200 could possibly come off of this number if we had dependable vehicles for you to travel West River.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
1,200,
What's that?
minimum 1,200 versus
Right.
one
Correct.
rental
Minimum.
per.
Well, I
minimum
think,
two
and I
beds.
think the department, they all already do this, but they try to go together as much as they can. I think they do a good job of that, you know, so. Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Jim?
Our weed man.
Welcome. The drought, that's gotta be helping the
This-
weeds not grow, right?
Growing droughts more.
This is not a good.
Well, and again, I think it's important, you know, before you start out, is you're another one of those unfunded mandates from the state that we have to do the weed and pests. This is not an option. We hear it all the time. Well, why are you guys doing weeds and pests? Well, it's in state law, so.
It is, and I guess our primary function is to try and protect commerce in the county. As far as my budget, personnel services, I just increased by the recommended or expected amounts. And everything else is kind of scarce, was just a best guess.
We did the 2.5% for raise as well. Okay. Are you seeing, I'm sure you are, increases in cost of chemicals and all of that?
It's all,
It's
it's
all,
up,
yeah.
down. there's no
Fuel,
way to
yeah.
anticipate.
I think it's another important thing to bring up too is, you do a lot of the weeds and pests in the spring and summertime, but then we roll you guys into the highway department for the rest of the time.
Yes.
And so I've got that comment, well, what do they do during the winter? Then you guys, help out the highway department and so you keep busy year round.
Yeah,
Okay, so I just wanted to let the citizens.
we help the highway department whenever they need it,
Mm.
winter or summer.
Yeah, I think the only concern I have on the budget is, yeah, the supplies and chemicals looks underfunded.
It's hard to say. I mean, I can be somewhat flexible on them.
Uh-huh.
So I thought this time I'm moving back actually to closer to my 2023 budget.
Okay.
You know what, you've been doing this a long time. I trust what you're gonna put on here, so. I don't have anything for.
You get a new side by side this year,
Last year.
last year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
we
that's
should
holding up?
we should be relatively good on equipment.
Okay.
For another year or two at least.
Thanks for everything you do. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Keep those weeds down.
Thank you.
Okay, Mike.
Welcome.
So we're not up much from this year. Next year I'm looking at 5.8. So I was going for, personnel.
You did 2.5 as well.
Yep. Insurance, I went back to my actual from 25 and
Mike, on personnel, so you're down, is it 2 employees? Is that correct? So you're budgeted for how many and how many are you actually?
maybe 17 of us total.
Okay, are you
How many?
budgeting for
17
Are you
with
budgeting for 17 or are you budgeting for 19?
7. And that's including Tracy too.
Thank you.
I'll just touch on a few, professional services. I did bump that, more of our projects that we've been running into, been doing more hydraulic studies.
Hmm.
Especially when we're trying to change the size, trying to mitigate issues with overtopping the roads in places, so.
And that's like engineering studies like we did for Fleet's Bridge and then going from a rusted out culvert to a box culvert, those
Correct.
types of things. And yeah, so
Yeah, 'cause
that makes sense.
one of them studies, depending on the lay of the land, you know,
Mm.
it could be 15,000 just for one study.
Yep.
And we have to do that in order to upsize
Mm.
or change.
What's gonna break down that you're up in your repairs?
Well, everything's getting more and more hours. Yeah. I do have in the budget for equipment, motor graders, or a motor grader. Cause we have one of our better ones are getting up there on hours, about, I think it's just over 8,000 hours now. That's a 2019 machine.
It's 8,000 hours, so about, wow.
So like that one there, I would like to get rid of while it's still worth something. It's not to the bottom of the barrel yet. Bottom of the barrel will be about 60,000. I'm hoping about 175-ish is what this one would be worth. So.
Did we do an engine repair? Was that a couple years ago on one of those or?
Yeah,
What was that? Do you remember?
that time, well, we almost did it because then when you have the engine out, you might as well go through the transmission with 14,000 hours on it at that time. Well, then we ended up stumbling across another machine with way lower hours.
Yeah, well, and that's the point I wanted to make is by, you know, taking this equipment when it's still functionable and getting a pretty good price for it versus having to put a new engine and transmission in it, something with 14,000 hours. And we do that and then the hydraulic system, you know, it's
Right.
much more expensive to do.
Yeah, we could have put a new motor and transmission into a 14,000 hour machine, but then the hydraulics and everything else around it are still 14,000 hours.
It's
So,
like putting a new engine in a 1990 Buick, right? That
Right.
doesn't make a lot of sense.
but yeah, for equipment, I do have that motor grader and two, I'm hoping used pickups again, hoping we can get a good deal again like we did this year. I'll jump back up. I know rentals that got brought up last year. Current budget is 15,000. Well, for instance, West Sea Limits Road project, we're gonna have to rent a sheep's foot packer. The bridge that would be taken out next year, one of our smaller structures, well, we'll rent a hammer for the excavator. Just odds and ends like that. Any other questions on any of them? Like our annual projects. I had listed, for next year. Be the 9 miles of chip seal, South Irene. And then some culvert lining. Asphalt.
Culvert lining, is that what the fiberglass sleeve?
Yeah.
Put in?
And down to the asphalt mill and overlay, I'd like to continue what we started last year, the 3 miles south of Lesterville. I'd like to continue working south on that. And then also we have the West Sea Limits, that agribusiness grant that we got, we have that to pave also. Bridges, well, we've got to finish paying for Stone Church Bridge next year. Then also a small structure south of Lesterville there.
How much do we expect to pay on Stone Church for next year?
As of now, we are at, well, it says as of end of June, we were at 463,000, which I think we're closer to that 600,000 range now on payments on that.
So we've got about $1 million left.
Right.
So I mean, if you look at, we got a $5 million budget, take out $1 million, 1.82 for personnel and another $1 million for Stone Church Bridge. We're pretty meager on
Well, what
projects.
I'm hoping by the end of the year, we'll be closer to the 900 to $1 million range that we paid off on that bridge.
Okay. You're trying to
So-
spread it out over multiple years. Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping we'll get billed more this year than next year, but we'll see how it goes. And that's like this year, I had in the plan to do the 3 miles south to Lesterville. Well, I axed that because I didn't know where we were gonna be with bridge payments. And I didn't want to come up short at the end of the year. So that's why we kind of pulled back on some of our projects this year to pay the bridge. So I'll have a better idea at the end of the year what we are going to do next year for actual road plan. Because what I'm telling you now for road plan, we might be able to do more.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just thinking about this road and bridge levy and that extra funds and what we can do in terms of these projects and get these projects cleared so that the people who are paying this extra levy can really see results. And I think that'll really help people's perspective of this levy. So
Right.
if we can show results.
Yeah, because just a few years ago, we did a lot of paving on the east side of the county with the COVID dollars, you know, that helped out. We've seen a lot of progression and, well, now we're flatlining and hopefully we could, if the road and bridge levy would come through, then
Like,
then we could go
this
back
is
to progression.
this is a big part of our budget. And, I was looking, getting ready for this at your 5-year highway and bridge improvement plan, 23 to 27. Could you go back by year and indicate the projects that you projected to do and the ones that you got done?
The extras.
You know, it could be some that was projected to be done in 3 years ago and it hasn't been done, and the public wants to know that,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, like this year would be a. Yep. Do you guys have any other questions?
And moving forward, you can point out the projects that we would like to do, which would help give a plan for the road and bridge levy also to say, hey, this is our 5-year plan. Next year in 2028, this is the pieces that we want to fulfill on our plan.
And what, you know, inflation has probably affected your budget more than any other ones of the county. I mean, they've all gone up, but, you know, the cost of trucks and the cost of fog oil and grader blades and stuff. I mean, you don't see that in this budget, but, you know, in 2023, 2024, we were at 6.8, 7.2. 2025, we were at 6 million, and we're significantly less than that now, while our costs have grown significantly. And what that leads to is less projects being able to be done. And, you know, we might not see it now, but we will see it in the future. So.
One line item on here that really fluctuates, is fuel. I should have looked up what I budgeted for last year per gallon, but we ended up, you know, we put out fuel bids in January. And that's good until like January of 27. You know, we got locked in at $2.45 a gallon on gas and diesel this year. So my budget number, you know, at the end of the year is going to be way off because of that. You know, next year I budget for 450, you know, is it going to be 450? Hopefully we end up with another year like this year, you know.
You're lucky you get to lock it in for a year at a time.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'd also like to know, you've got a large staff, and if we can't do all these projects, is there possibilities that we could have them work in other areas of the county, or is there possibilities that we could get by without them?
Like to cut staff or to not replace as they retire, I don't recommend that. We like to do big projects, like the paving, that takes all the guys. Like when it comes down to trucking, well, we'll yank all the motor grader guys, put them in the truck. Jim with the weed department, if they're not swamped, we can steal them. Well, heck, just the other week, well, last week, it was so darn hot. I had them jump in the trucks for a couple days, just for hauling gravel. But, and then the biggest one is snow removal. We need everybody for the snow removal.
Well, and that's something that I've seen, you know, I'm born and raised Yankton County, and I remember my dad having to plow a mile to get to the oil road, and that's just how it was, you know. And I've seen the attitude, I think, change in people, and they want to get to work at 5 o'clock in the morning, and you know, rightly so, even if it has snowed. But there's a cost to that. And then what we've seen too is on Friday, it's fine, we get a big snow on Saturday, and when we call the crew in, it's overtime. And I mean, that's not free to call all the guys in on the weekend or the holiday. Do you have is it something like 15,000 or something to do time and a half for 2 days, for a weekend?
Yeah, it's,
So, and that's from what I feel, and maybe you guys feel differently, is that's the service that the citizens have come to expect from us. If we get a 6-inch snow, they want us to call the crew in, clear it so they can go to their kids' football games, or they can, go to work, which I understand, but that's not free to do that.
right.
And we don't have a snow budget in here. So when we have a big snow like we did, what was that, 3 or 4 years ago? Where
2023.
was that almost $1 million we spent?
It was a lot.
It was, I ran around 800,000 or 900,000 just on snow removal. That's not even on here. Well, guess what? Now that comes off of the projects that we can and we can't do. And so that's gonna be a difficult choice that we have to make. Are we gonna fix a bridge or are we gonna plow snow?
I have not seen it in county workers. It probably has existed, but in the last few weeks, I'm amazed at how many construction groups you could drive by with 6 or 7 people, 5 of them standing with a shovel in their hand, not doing a damn thing.
Yeah. Well, we're all,
You can all keep busy. So,
we're staying pretty busy, I would say, so.
I have one more question, and it's all about IT. Do you have any subscriptions in your budget that are within your budget currently?
We do, annually, we have to pay 8,000 to our software for our program for the tracking, and
How much would the county save if you stopped blowing ditches?
I'd have to run you that report. Get an actual dollar amount on that.
Is there a requirement?
It's a safety issue. Especially on the highways. Gravels, we'll mow it once during the summer and then in the fall before winter. On the highways, try to do it right around Memorial Day, once around 4th of July, and then again around Labor Day. And it all depends on the year. Like this year, well, we've only had to mow once. We mowed everything once. Well, we didn't get no rain, so it wasn't growing really hard. So around town, like if Irene's got a celebration, we'll mow around there before that. Yankton, same thing. But
do you have any recommendations for us? I mean, it's gonna be I think it's gonna be a pretty tight year, and then depending on how November goes, do you have any areas that you would propose that we reduce services on, or do we just try to maintain what we have, or like what's your advice for us, I guess?
reducing services as in,
Well, I guess we obviously can't continue to provide the level of services and do and construct and replace bridges and stuff with the dollars that we have. So if we're not able to have the funds, is there any recommendation you would recommend? Do we just do the best we can, or do we reduce?
do the best we
services
can.
in some areas?
And if we're to reduce services
Mhm.
anywhere,
Mhm.
it'd have to be townships, secondary roads.
Is that the oil roads or the gravel?
The gravels.
The gravels.
Okay, back to the software. You have AK tracking software subscription, and that's in a line item under repairs, maintenance,
I got that. It's under supplies.
under
where
supplies.
I
Okay,
got that.
so you did just the AK and tracking software. That's the only specialized software you guys have.
Pretty
Okay.
much.
All right.
And we just switched over to a different company because the one we had last year, they were gonna up it to 18,000 a year, and So we did some shopping. There's like 6 other counties that got on the same software as we're on previously, so. Or currently,
Okay.
um,
I think you had an ArcGIS subscription once, but I think we got rid of that.
yeah. Paul kind of,
I
have- I don't-
have their GIS.
Yeah, okay, yeah, we moved it, yeah.
yeah,
planning.
Yep.
yeah, Paul just got that switched around, or whoever did.
Okay.
Oh,
Thanks, Mike. Again, appreciate everything you do. Heard nothing but good things from you and your staff, and just keep up the good work, and we appreciate how hard they work. So, thank you.
thanks.
I seen Rob walk in, so we're gonna move up to Rob.
Good morning, commissioners. So I don't know if you want me to go over my points that I discussed during my last presentation. Was that last month?
I think it's just mostly the budget this time.
Yeah. So I submitted my budget proposals. And the ones that I'm focusing on is, maintaining my original budget with the 2.5% COLA increase, which maintains the current level of service, reflects the county's approved COLA, no expansion of services or staffing. The other proposal was bumping my hours up to a 40-hour work week with the 2.5% COLA. Would put me in a traditional full-time schedule status. Would increase my availability to veterans.
Of your availability, how much of that available time is devoted to out-of-county applicants or veterans?
So
Best guess.
best guess, I would say probably 10 to 15%. Yeah, somewhere in there. And after my last presentation and speaking with you all, I have been referring veterans back to their counties and working with the veteran service officers out of Nebraska and making sure that they're assisting their veterans from their region. Actually spoke with both Clay County and Bonholm veteran service officers directly, and they fully support me referring veterans back to them.
Yeah,
I had
that was their commissioners from Clay County and Bonholm. That was their recommendation as well. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that's working.
And I actually had my monthly outreach event yesterday, and Bonholm veteran service officer came over to sit in during that outreach event. So yeah, I think I'm gonna have great progress with getting these guys back out, getting these veterans to go through their county's veteran service office. I think I'm gonna have better luck with that now. Good.
So you still feel the need though to go to 40 hours work week?
I think a greater investment. I know that we're not gonna really consider it this year, but I would say probably within a 5-year plan, you're gonna wanna have an assistant in the veteran service office. That way, I'm not gonna work this job forever. I'm not gonna work this job forever. I'm eventually gonna retire. So when I leave, you're gonna lose that knowledge, and then it's gonna take at least a year for the new service officer to get trained up properly and provide the services that are needed in that position. So,
That's not the immediate future though, right?
no. That's pretty much the points I wanted to make. If there's any questions?
Have you been doing appointments versus?
Yeah, I still try to focus on appointments, but then if I have somebody that comes in while I'm with somebody, I'll pause my meeting and I'll go out and see if they just have an easy question that needs answered, or if they're gonna need a more detailed assistance, and then I'll get them set up to come back when I'm available. So
Currently, how do you do your appointments? Is it just call in and?
So I try to schedule, I'll call in or stop in. If I'm available and I'm not working with somebody, I'm still taking walk-ins. But when I do schedule my appointments, I try to schedule them, the mornings, I try to schedule them between 9:30 and 11:30. In the afternoons, I try to keep them between 1:30 and 3:30. Just so I still do have some open time where people can walk in. If they have something urgent, I don't have an appointment scheduled right away, I can help them right away at 9 o'clock.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, you bet.
Appreciate what you do. I've heard nothing but good things. So thank you for what you do for the community.
We'll be talking to all of them then.
No, just you, I have the call screen, so thank you.
Tyler?
Welcome. Congratulations to you two.
Thank you. Good morning. I know it's been practice in my office previously to submit a letter of how our year has gone in previous budget hearings, but with the chaos that the summer has been, I failed to do that. So I'm just going to give you a brief synopsis of where we were at finishing 2025 and where we're at for 2026. So last year, our office filed 1,820 cases. Currently, I have 462 pending cases. Rob has 319 pending criminal cases. This does not include warrant cases for people who have absconded or charged, have not been booked yet. Does not include juveniles, A&Ns, civil, and other cases Rob has inherited from the previous attorney. If you include those numbers, I have 1,937 cases attached to my name, and Rob has 1,089 attached to his name. 2025, there were 455 mental illness hearings, 404 from other counties, and 51 from Yankton County.
How many was that total mental health cases? I'm writing that down.
455. So we were able to bill out $61,576 to those out of county cases, and we had to eat the cost of the Yankton County cases. Diversion stats for 2025, we had 53 expungements, 82 young adult diversions, and 89 juvenile diversions. And with those 89 juvenile diversions, we are part of the program where we get reimbursed from the state. I believe last year was $750 per successful diversion. You guys obviously know the numbers for the poor relief from Don. We have those meetings periodically in executive session. As to 2026, so far we've filed 234 felony cases, 642 misdemeanor cases. So a total at this point this year of 877 new cases. We've had so far this year 213 mental illness hearings from January until today. We billed out $29,230.45 in that time period. 188 of those hearings were for other counties and 25 were for Yankton County residents. So far for diversion, we've had 27 diversions for juveniles and 76 for young adults. And then 14 expungements are in the works, waiting for the judge to sign off on those. When you look at my budget for this year, you'll see that there's $100,000 difference. I have come in about 101,000 less than last year. I have foregone filling an attorney position. So we are back down to 3. This summer, we're currently operating at 2, me and Rob. The third attorney that we hired has been studying for the bar exam. He took it this week. Hopefully he passes and we'll be back up to 3 attorneys. And so that's the difference in the budget. As for personnel, operating expenses pretty much align from last year. I don't think I increased any or
Why are
There's 2
repairs and
increase-
maintenance so high?
because I have a 2015 van that has 120,000 miles on it and it frequently breaks.
I'm sorry?
The van, the expenses for the maintenance, for the computers, the internet, all the IT stuff also is part of that.
Okay, yeah, I was about to ask you about that.
Yeah. I'll touch on IT here.
Yeah.
But 2025 was 1,600 and this is 10,000 more. Unless I'm reading this wrong.
No, you are, because the current budget's 11,750. My requested budget's 11,750.
And year-to-date actual is 457
Year to date.
as of March.
Yeah, that was March. So I don't know what it is now.
So you're not going to do any diversion expenses anymore?
We have a separate fund for the diversion expense. It's a separate account. That's where
That
all,
cash bonds come out of?
that's where all our diversion expenses are being paid. Yes.
Okay.
There's a special,
So we don't ask for it in the state's attorney budget. That comes out of the general fund. The diversion budget is not taxpayer money. It's grant money and bond money.
Okay.
So
and it's not in the general.
Well, I think
Yeah.
it's somewhat important that the residents know that even though children can be naughty and they can be put on diversion and it's not county's money per se, it's,
yeah, our diversion.
it's
program-
naughty adults'
Yeah.
money.
Other than the salary for the diversion coordinator, the program is fully self-funded.
So I'm not an attorney like you guys, so if somebody does a bond for a hearing and then they don't show up, then that's where that comes.
Yes, so if they post a bond, get out.
Cash bond.
Cash.
Okay.
bond.
Okay.
Or surety, that's sometimes. The attorney for the state can ask the court to forfeit that bond
Okay,
and we have a hearing on it. And if they don't show up or they lose that hearing,
okay.
the clerk writes a check to the county, I think quarterly. So
Understood.
we get bond forfeitures too, and we invest that money back into the program.
Mhm.
You know, if people who are in the program need help paying for treatment or counseling sessions, transportation to school, school supplies, you know, I'm working with the police department right now to do more of a public safety campaign on a certain issue that we have that's involving diversion, possibly tobacco awareness, vape awareness. But we're gonna do a campaign we're working on, and that will be fully funded by the diversion grants that we get
You buy school supplies with bond money?
if they're on diversion.
Oh, only if they're on diversion, okay.
Yeah, our program focuses on diversion people, obviously. So if they're in the program for truancy, other types of matters, we help out when we can. Sorry.
It just sounds like in looking through this, you can continue to see, more and more cases each year. And I don't think there's probably any limit, to that. I wish we would start seeing fewer cases, but it just doesn't seem like society is pointed in that direction. So.
And so to touch on IT for Ryan, the professional services is where all our subscriptions come out of.
Mhm.
I do have the year-to-date for July,
You have what?
year-to-date report for July. We are at 94% of our professional service budget. So obviously subscription-based IT services are a large part of that. Our case management system,
Bill?
Carpel, yeah.
Carpel, Westlaw for research, on top of other professional services.
Yeah, you just use AI for free like everybody else?
See, when you use AI and submit stuff to the core, you can be sanctioned. I don't want to do that. So yes, large portion of our professional services are IT related. on top of other expert fees, etc. The other increase that I had was under other. I believe. Yes. The purpose of that is currently bar dues, association dues are coming out of professional services. I feel they should not be coming out of my professional services because they're not really a service, they're more of an obligation. And so other, I want to take our bar dues, our state's attorney association dues, district attorney dues out of just as own line item. I feel it's more appropriate that way. So, but other than that, I think those are the only two slight increases. Otherwise, like I said, my overall.
Books,
Yes, books are a thing in a law firm, Wanda.
I'm sorry,
What about books?
must you buy one book for every lawyer?
Actually, it's not for the lawyers, it's for the whole office. So we have 4 books that we buy for 8 people.
You buy the $495 updated criminal code book.
So if we get 4 books for our office and there's 8 people in our office.
Well, of those 8 people, only 3 of them are lawyers, right?
Yeah, but secretarial staff also draft documents and need the latest language on the charging documents.
They can't share.
We all share. There's 4 books for 8 people. Any other questions?
Yeah, I think the one thing is like, so you have specialized software. This is another case where probably want to have that like software, like.
Yeah. And I'll know,
Clear.
as to also furniture and minor equipment, I did increase that $250. One laptop I had to buy this year put me in the negative for that line item. So one
Yeah.
computer costs more than.
Yeah, and that's another one of those things where we want to start costing that directly through the IT budget to be sort of like a laptop pool as well.
Yeah.
And try to manage and keep control costs that way, especially making sure that we get the most life out of every laptop that we purchase.
Yes. And I do support, Ryan, your idea of a pool or a fleet operation for the county with maintenance of those vehicles. Obviously, my office doesn't travel much, but when we do, we're traveling to Rapid City Pier multiple times a year. So.
Yeah.
I do have one question, and this also includes Brian, as far as liens and stuff like that that are put on that you handle. And how do we, at this point in time, how are we collecting on them? Is that?
I believe Rob's been working with Patty to get those executed.
And are we getting any execution from that, or? You want to just come up here to the mic, just so everybody at home can hear this too, if anybody's watching at 11:30 this morning.
I should clarify, we don't actually collect the liens, we record the
Right,
collections when Patty collects them. And the last meeting, I said in the second quarter, we collected 8,000, spent 110,000 as far as, spending versus what we received back. So it's always pretty tough. Every once in a while, we'll get a big one. Somebody will pay off a big lien, but generally we're lucky to get 10%.
So then my question for Tyler is that something that the state's attorney's office should go out and say, try to do the collections? I know we have a AAA collection agency, but I don't know that they've done squat for us.
Well, the reason that they have indigent counsel is because they don't have any money, or they don't have any property, or they don't have a job. So to hire an attorney to chase around people who don't have any money seems like throwing good money after bad.
That was the question I was asking, if people would pay to put another half-time person or whatever in your office to do that. If not, just say no and we'll move on.
Well, it would make more sense if we could get judge to order them to pay $25 a month against their court-appointed attorney's fees, and they'd spend a little less money at the casino.
Unfortunately, there's case law that says you can't punish a person legally by jail for inability to pay. So we have cases that are in probation or prison, they owe people money. You can't punish them, you can't put them back in prison for not paying their bills.
We no longer have debtors prison.
Yeah.
Right, but
But as
And-
to like liens for property, tax liens, obviously, yes, we're executing those, but their ability to pay depends, obviously, so.
like I
mean,
said, it's a
We're
yes,
doing
or
what
no.
we can, John.
It's a yes or no question.
Yeah.
That's,
That's maybe then.
That's why the state set up the obligation recovery center for
and
themselves.
that's something we
because-
probably need to push harder on with the legislator than anything else. So, okay, that was just my question.
Yeah, no, that's a good question.
Thank you. Appreciate everything you're
Yeah,
doing.
thank you.
And,
And then, and if you're talking about, on cutting
other
something,
Staff, thank you.
that
So,
company that we have that
what's
is
that?
doing our indigent is,
Not helping.
no, not at all.
They don't get anything other than if they collect it though, right?
That,
We don't
that
pay-
presupposes they do something on it. When the judge appoints somebody to, or a court-appointed attorney, they have to fill out an application to say where they work and what assets they have. And usually it's, I don't work, 000. So to have somebody chase them around,
I know, but this AAA collection agency doesn't charge unless they get a charge, a percentage of what they collect, but they don't charge us anything if they don't collect anything.
true, but what's their incentive to try to collect on a court-appointed attorney bill when the people themselves say, I don't work and I have no money?
Well, obviously, I think, the state made a good law, starting that indigent representation for appeals and A&Ns and whatnot, habeases. I think that needs to be expanded to all public
Yes.
defenders, help the counties out for sure.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Tyler.
Paul?
Where'd the dog go? She what?
This is just reading material. We won't go through all this. We'll just go through the line item that you got, but I wanted you to have some information about this.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Those chairs are that uncomfortable? or-
No, I had a little accident yesterday at work. The podium or the pendle underneath that holds the seat broke. And I went forward and I pulled a muscle in my hip, so, self-inflicted injury. So in my budget, I decreased some stuff, pretty simple. Most of it is, was either left the same or rounded off to an even number. Under our, professional service and fees, that's our IT stuff, but also a lot of our programs. We've been working with, Eric and those guys over there, how we're gonna do our website, how we're gonna do our iPods, how we're doing the GIS stuff that we share with, like with planning and zoning, because that was all, we have 5 licenses that we share amongst other departments in the county, but that's all listed. The different programs are listed there or under supplies. We also do our credentialing, your ID cards, so that you can get in the building and stuff. That's all through those services. Some of the stuff might be a little high. I only have a June report, that I got out and what we're actual to date. But one of the things that, as an example, I'm not gonna get into it today. We'll talk about it at your next meeting. But we had a boat that lost the motor in it, and the repair of the motor, I talked to John one day about it, it's about $18,000. Well, without a capital improvement plan for something to replace that, we're basically gonna come here and surplus the boat out. But it's the idea that I keep some of the stuff a little maybe higher in line items, just for the reason. We had a starter go on the truck, it was $500 for the starter, or pickup, diesel pickup. So some of those line items are a little bit, I don't wanna say higher, but I didn't raise anything, I actually lowered some, and the 2.5, 2.3, 2.5 for the salaries, that was the only increase that was made on the budget in the professional services. Other than that, everything else, and Ryan kind of talked a little bit about some of the IT stuff. I like the idea of having a line item for IT. I mean, you're CC'd on a lot of my emails.
Yeah.
We still have one computer that's been there 5 times and I'm getting billed at 5 times and it still don't work. So, I mean,
It's a more complicated computer though.
right. No, but I'm just saying it's a fee and I don't budget for 5 times. I mean, I buy a new computer, it should work for
And-
$1,900 and it's still, anyway.
And that's the point about having an sort of an IT department, is that it's not so much. They're working those machines and that should be under that budget, hopefully. That's the
Right.
way I want it.
And I mean, I totally support that. I'm just saying it's hard to put in a line item for a budget now. What's gonna happen because we don't know what on some of those line items,
Yeah.
especially with the IT stuff. Furniture and equipment, just a couple chairs for the back room. Things of that nature. But like I said, everything else either went down or got rounded to the closest number to make it simpler. And I went down on our repairs and maintenance, went down on our furniture, not a lot, but it's just the idea that I kept it pretty much the same. I didn't increase. We're doing a lot of plan updating this year. We got some grants to do that. We'll talk more about that at your guys' next meeting about the grants, and it's not for here, but it's just the idea that we're moving forward and everything's going good. The only thing that I would like to recommend, I didn't know how the salaries and everything were gonna go. I would like to see an increase with Aaron's salary. We could do the fact now also, we've taken on the safety benefits stuff, working with Gary and stuff. She ended up writing the whole policy and bylaws and all that stuff. They've been really working hard to get it done, but it's just another task that our office has taken on. I'm not asking for any for myself. I'm just asking if you see something there to give it. I don't have a recommendation. Well, I do, but I'm not,
That's tough because we're asking everybody to do more, and if we do one for one person, the equalization is taken on more, ambulance is taken on more. You're making the right case to do that, and I appreciate you.
Yeah,
Sticking up for your employees, but I mean, we're asking everybody to do more, and if you do it for one, then we gotta do it for everybody, and
Well,
I don't think
we
this
don't.
is the year.
We don't. We have a
personally.
process that's gonna be, it
Okay.
should be followed, and that
But-
is, you
yeah.
fill out the request to move a step.
right, and I didn't do that in
Yep.
here. I'm just talking about it now, so when that time comes, I may have to approach it again, but I just wanted to put that in your bug in your
Yeah.
ear that might be something down the line.
So, the idea of giving Aaron a step is not in your budget right now.
No.
Okay.
No, I just wanted to make sure you knew that.
Yeah, okay.
That's why I brought it up. But like I said, everything else is pretty simple, straightforward. We got generators and stuff. We had one blow up last year. We're gonna try to rebuild it. I gotta talk with Mike, get it out of the shed, and we're gonna have somebody go through it and take a look at it. So
And talking with Mike, and maybe, I'm sure you're probably already willing to do this, but he sounds like he's willing when he has time, of course, to do a lot of that maintenance, and he's getting pretty good equipment to fix vehicles, and if
Yep.
that's something he's able to, I'm sure you're already working with
well,
him.
we work with when we
Yeah,
can, yeah.
he does a great job in that, some good mechanics there too, so.
So other than that, I mean, everything's working, nothing's breaking down, all that kind of stuff.
Are
So,
we gonna have him do the search and rescue?
yeah, and search and rescue pretty much just flatlined. I mean, everything stayed the same.
Search and rescue, did you folks go and help that boy that drowned over in, I want to say Bonham County, or?
We
Springfield area.
recovered the young one.
Was that the search and rescue boat that needs the new
Yep.
engine? And I think, I don't know what we do. I'm glad that we help our neighbors, and we have a lot of the search and rescue equipment that our neighboring counties don't have, but then we just, like your example you gave, the boat motor blows up. Well, now it's us, and I don't know if we need to look at some sort of agreement where, yes, we help our neighbors, we help the surrounding counties, but we're using our equipment, and when the new boat needs to be bought or the new engine needs to be bought.
They say Yankton County can buy it. They've
Well,
got all
yeah,
kinds of money.
Well,
Just
Mhm.
I don't have
Mhm.
I don't have the exact figure, but
Yeah.
we had a retrieval out of the river here
mhm,
of a vehicle.
Yeah.
Well, they got billed, and you guys will see the check,
Mhm.
if we can collect it,
yeah.
you guys will see the money income on it. It was over $3,000.
Mhm.
But I mean, we're doing that, but when somebody drowns, a little different story on how that
Yeah.
works in that
Well,
aspect.
I guess what I'm talking about is working with our surrounding counties, maybe for some sort of agreement where, hey, we will provide search and rescue funds for X amount of dollars a year. It's minimal. And I know when, the Bonhomme commissioner here, Ed Van Gerpen, was here, he thought that was a good idea. Because when the bill comes due again, the new boat, we need the new pickup, the new motor, then that's all on us. And I'm sure we have some sort of agreement, but I think a formal agreement where we're providing these services for all the surrounding counties is not an unreasonable thing to ask.
It's probably not unreasonable. The question is right now, we help out because we're available.
Mhm.
If we have an agreement now, is it an absolute obligation?
Yeah,
you know.
if that way it would be.
Yeah, that way. it would
We've
be.
turned
So
down,
In a,
we can
in
turn
a,
down.
in a way, that would also say that now our service is now more of an obligation. We have a larger coverage area. And we have to be even more prepared.
We've turned down
So-
services just because of, we knew that we didn't have enough divers to do the job, but yet if we're collecting, and I'm not saying that's the wrong way, Dan, but
But,
it's,
but I do agree too, that, some level of cost share
right.
for.
Or we put in a billing process that they know that when we come over and do whatever,
That's what
it's
I'm
gonna
saying.
cost you X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just think, yeah, even a billing process, because not, not having to staff, two people in emergency management and have a search and rescue and a building and a boat. Bonhomme County, for example, is saving money by not having that, where they can call us. And really, I would look at it as a win-win. And it's not, I don't think it's an unreasonable thing to ask. We help them out when we can. We want to be good neighbors, but again, the burden is all on us now, and the property taxpayers as well. And I guess I'd really like to see some sort of, and maybe it's not even mandated, but hey, this is what our recommended payment would be from the county when we provide those services. And
What I can
That's
do
what
is
I'd
I'll
like
put
to see.
together, we actually have a billing schedule that was approved by the commission several years ago. I can shoot that over to you and see what the rates are.
I think that's.
And then you guys, maybe at your 8 county, Dan, you guys can
Yep.
talk about something like that there and see where it goes with.
Write
whoever.
a letter to each county and say, here, this is what.
Yeah. And just start the conversation at least.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And again, we appreciate everything the search and rescue crew does. They pretty much volunteer their time.
Yeah, they're all volunteer.
And it's great that we have that capability. We want to be able to keep that. And so, thank you.
Yes. Cool. Thank
Good to
you.
go.
Good morning still.
Good morning. Is it still morning? It's getting.
For a
close.
minute.
Again, we missed our debate last time, so
11 minutes. Did you get done in the morning?
I think so.
All right.
Ours is pretty straightforward with a few exceptions. So we were 2.5% across the board. And I'll go through the exceptions with you. Professional services last year, our professional services were over quite a bit. Our ESO billing and Waystar went up. So we took our furniture money out and we lowered our repairs and maintenance budget. And then we added a lot of that to the professional services to cover those expenses that were over last year. The other exception was our personnel services budget. We were over quite a bit last year, 47,000 over last year, not counting an administrator salary. So I have added $30,000 to cover the projected overage this year. And it looks like we're about $47,000 better this year than we were last year. But we're still trending high. We're still trending that we're going to be about 30,000 over. We did lose, Maria retired, so we lost a full-time biller. We still need to evaluate the possibility of bringing somebody on part-time to cover. We're trying to see what the workload for our one biller is right now, but we may have to bring on somebody per diem or part-time to cover a little bit of that workload for her. The only other thing we added was in the machinery, in the equipment, we added $30,000. That's a capital expense for our power load. We know we don't have that capital expense budget. That can definitely be taken out, but that's the next thing that we need to replace on the ambulances. And that's pretty much all I have. What questions do you have?
Yeah, it looks like, you're going from what, 1,460,086 to 1.5. What
With the-
percent, what percent increase is that?
So it's a 2.5% increase overall with the addition of the $60,000 extra we added on top of everything.
So you did a 2.5% for the salary?
2.5% for the salary. We added the $30,000 that were projected to be over.
The going from 1.4 to 1.5. That seems like it's more than a 2%.
That's 2.5 plus the $60,000. So $30,000 for professional or for personal services and $30,000 for the capital expenses we added for the power load.
How's the income looking?
Income's,
Better?
income's still looking really good. We had a low week last week. But overall, we're still trending over.
I get going from 1.4686 to 1.5, I get a 7.67% increase.
Yeah, and that might be true. 2.5% plus the $60,000 for those two items.
And I get it with what you're doing, but I mean, we also got to remember that the county's budget, we're only going to go up a max of 3.4% with the growth. So this is more than double that.
Actually, the more accurate thing to ask here, because what you don't see in this, because this is a budget with expenses, but there is also a lot of income tied behind this. And so the actual cost to the county isn't the 1.5 million. It's going to be the whatever the
We don't know
income,
what that is.
which is variable, but the income that we would have
It's gone up quite a
is going
bit.
to, is also going to be quite a bit.
We're trending at like 1.3, and we know that
Yeah.
we possibly are going to have weeks that are going to be lower throughout the year, but even the lower weeks we're averaging over what we averaged last year. So it's trending up for every week.
I guess,
Yeah.
you know, and the position I think we should take, and I realize how important the ambulance is, you know, that you guys save lives, but if every department went up 7%, where would we be at?
Behind.
Well,
Behind, but
But we're
our
not-
taxes go up
not every department is
3.4%.
going up by 7%.
Hey, Dan, just to
And not
break this,
every department is generating revenue.
And not every department
so the 30,000 we put in for the capital expenses, I know that we're looking at a capital expense plan. That's definitely something that could come out and go into
Yeah.
whatever we decide to do for future. The $30,000 overage for the personnel services salary, that is just where we ended up with the overage in 2025. I didn't even work here. I didn't run that budget. That's just unfortunately where that budget ended up. We were, if you count Eric's salary that we didn't pay, we were about $175,000 over budget for that year. We're only looking to be 30,000 over this year. So we've cleaned that up quite a bit. That's the best I can do with what I've got.
Yeah. I've seen from looking as almost every other budget has maintained, gone up slightly or gone down. And this is the only one I've seen yet that is increasing at double the rate that our property tax increasing is. And maybe we're going to do that. That's fine. But at some point we also have to realize we have a finite amount of money. We said this year our taxes are going to increase by 3.4%. That's the max. And if, you know, this department keeps outpacing it and doubling it, that's not good. How are we going to control that?
Well, we also are bringing in $200,000 more in revenue this year than we did last year.
We hope
too.
that, but I just.
Half of it's in the bank, so.
Which is good. No,
Yeah.
you've done a good job. It's an important service and we wish that, you know, and that gap is getting smaller, which is credit to do it. We just wish that, you know, we could get some support from the city or somebody else to to close that gap and not put that burden on the county. And I know you're doing
Right.
everything you can. I just need to
So,
bring that up.
Back to actual budget here, just looking at supplies.
Mhm.
So historically, we've had some very big numbers in supplies. 2025, we did really well in
Yep.
supplies. We still are current budget 100. We've on this as of essentially first quarter, only 20% of that budget was spent. Does the supply still look like it's going to stay within
Yeah,
that
right now,
under the 100?
we're looking at being about 30 to 40 under on supplies.
Okay.
Right, as year to date, right? I
Year to
haven't
date.
got our July expenditure
Okay.
report yet, but we're way under.
So that's good. That's good to know that we're probably maybe 30,000 also over budgeted there, but it's
Yeah.
kind of like you have to be kind of safe with
The
it, too.
supplies thing's tricky because we have
Yeah.
medications and things that are
Yeah.
expensive that expire every 2 to 3 years. And it's really hard to know exactly what is going to expire that you have to replace. So
Mhm.
we're trying to hold off on big expenses until after the first of the year so that we can recover a lot of the personal service budget that we're going to be over this year. And I think we're going to be really close,
Okay.
but I can't guarantee that for the year following.
Yeah, and so, when you start looking at some of those things, then some of your, and like I said, you have the capital, so the extra 30,000 on machinery and equipment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you start looking at that, now you're back down under 3% from the 6.77 that I calculated, I think, yeah, I like an honest budget versus a hopeful budget that can't be met. Because we need to know what our honest budget is before we can start making big decisions. So,
And for the IT stuff, in the professional services, about 60,000, or sorry, 60% of that budget is IT software. So we have that Waystar, clearinghouse, ESO billing, and then our scheduling software is what's in that budget for us.
yeah, and again, this is another one where maybe we'd have a software and licenses line item. We want to, in a lot of cases, like your scheduling and some of your software is distinctly tailored for the ambulance.
Yeah.
And we want to definitely though capture any places where we can use an enterprise solution and cut cost on software.
Yeah.
So just having that separate, we can kind of keep an eye on that.
Yep.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay. Any other
Appreciate
questions? Okay.
You're
Preston
up,
Chrissy.
Sheriff. Or do you want to go, let's go to somebody else?
All right. Yeah.
Got 1 minute, you can still say good morning.
How did we get so far behind?
Hey, you guys are always guardian. I've got to my name on it. I figured doing it last anyway.
All right,
Got your stuff upside down.
here, it's the better one.
Thanks.
Do we have Patty, for this, do we have the actual, like your printout? Cause his is different, like you have the budget, but you don't have the actual budget.
Spent.
Yeah, that's an,
It's cause these other guys have it in this format. They have the actual budget of these one, what was actually spent. So not what was budgeted, but what was actually spent.
oh,
Is there a way we could get those printed?
she sends it out to me. I guess I could attach it to the.
Yeah, cause I'd like to see, cause if you budget for this amount, but you spend less, I like to be able to see that for each line, because then that lets us know, okay, well, is there, do you need more in this line item or do you need less in this one?
I brought the end of the year for last year's.
One of the complications of that is you have to know what accounts payable.
Yeah.
You don't know them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have any accuracy.
Yeah, just,
Well, I try to do mine in a cleaner version, so you can see what's budgeted each year to year.
It throws us off because all the other ones are done in a little bit.
Because this is
different
this is
forms.
2026 year to date.
Mhm.
It's 2026 budget, so.
What's that?
You're just talking about just having the actuals on the previous years, right?
That's really helpful for me.
That's probably the only
Oh,
change
I
I
get
do
it.
on the sheet, is having the actuals of the
Yeah, I mean,
previous years.
yeah, so, well, if I start off here, so on page, okay, the second page there just talks about the 5 budgets that the sheriff's office is responsible for: sheriff, jail, juvenile detention, 24/7, and E911, which we'll get to at the very end. Page 3 kind of shows you what we did all in 2025, because obviously 2026 isn't done. So it tells you, about the traffic stops, the citations that we gave out. I did separate speeding violations because traffic, speeding citations are much different than other assaults and DUI, stuff like that. You can see the arrest that we made. This is again 2025 because 2026 isn't done. Arrests and bench warrants 780, civil papers served, 2,500 or 2,560. And then I did the generate from 2018 to 2025, our calls for service, and then the reports that were taken. So this kind of gives you an idea of the amount of calls for service. The more people that have cell phones, the more calls for service that people get. That's why calls in the 1970s and stuff weren't as high as 2025. Go to page 4. You can see, I just talk about, and since 2023, when I took over office, I inherited Sheriff Lahawk his budget. That was the only time that I've actually bought 2 new patrol cars. Everything else that I've purchased, 4 patrol cars have been used. I've been kind of using a outfitting place out in Chicago where bigger or larger departments like, the Tucson Police Department, they may drive a unmarked car that's a police model for 20,000 miles for 5 years, and then they turn them in. So then I buy them for a lot lower, and then I'm able to outfit those cars that are older models with current equipment that we still have, so I don't have to buy all new equipment. Or I get it from the highway patrol too in some cases. But the only other new vehicle I ever purchased was the 24 transport van that had to be approved by you guys as the commission. But otherwise, new vehicles are 45,000 to 50,000 each. I'll do what I did like this last year where I bought used instead of getting 3 new cars. So if you go to page 5, you can see the 2023 to project the 2027 budget. So I did update it to in the 2026 year to date if you're on page 5. That tells you that I got it up to June, so that's kind of more accurate than when Patty sent them out for the actuals. So I did, the reason why I gave you the updated ones is because I sat through the commission meeting the other night about the health insurance plan that might go up to 10% or 11%. And so I had to change a projection there just so I wasn't gonna be under on that. Not a lot of the employees have the family plans, but I just want to make sure that I'm within budget on that. But overall for the sheriff's office budget, 2027 is projected to be 2,008,165. And that's just a little bit higher than 2026 budgets, which is 2,008,009.
You're doing all 2.5%.
Yep, 2.5%. And on page 6, you can see the breakdown for every employee, what the cost is for salaries, and then the 2.5% interest, or the interest, geez, I sound like a banker, 2.5% increase. So you can see who's getting paid what and what they're gonna get up to.
Question.
Yeah,
On the vehicles,
yep.
what's the oldest vehicle you have in your fleet?
Oldest vehicle. Oops, I turned that off. Trying to think.
2016.
Is that a fleet that's on the road right now for you guys, or is that something
Yes.
that you just use in?
Nope, that's a fleet vehicle.
So when you got the 2 or 3 new used vehicles this
Yeah.
year, what did you replace them with? Or what did you take out of the fleet?
So equalization, I believe, got one of our newer cars, but it had higher mileage. Trying to recall if that was a 2023 Explorer, 2022. That'd be a Michelle question, but she's out of here now. So that's where I started buying the older vehicles with lower mileage, because I can just exchange a cage out of a current car that we already have. That's the same model, but we just move it over and I'm not spending.
I guess what I'm getting at is
10,000.
the oldest car that, if equalization got a 22 or 23 from you this year,
Yeah,
so they have a 22 model car that, how many miles you got on it?
I think that one, I think they got over 100,000 miles on that one. 130, I think, is what they got.
Okay.
So. I did increase the fuel, on page 5, just because with the stuff that's going on over in the Middle East, I didn't plan on paying almost $4 a gallon, but obviously we contract with the city.
So the same rate is the city gets the same rate contracted as we do?
Yeah, and Dan and I have talked about that in the past about like if we were to fill up at the county shed, but it's kind of the same thing.
I mean, the contract is usually the same, but it's a lot more time for you to probably drive way out there and do it. And I'm not.
Yeah,
sure
no, I'm
Mike-
just saying that.
I'm not sure Mike has the fuel holding capacity. I mean, have to be something we'd have to look at. Cause it would
Well, if we're paying the same there as we're paying out there, just,
probably a
Yeah.
lot more convenient.
It is, and then we don't drive on the gravel road and have to wash our cars and we are doing a lot more transporting with the U.S. Marshal Service. So I talked to Sheriff Howe over in Clay County. They're gonna start filling their jail. They got the marshal contract hold. I think that's gonna start in August sometime. So our fleet just drives by, picks up more marshals. We've been to Union County. We went to Winter yesterday to pick up some inmates. Been to Omaha. We go to Minnesota. So we do travel a lot of different places for that, but so yeah, page 6, page 7, this is just jail stats. I checked the thing, was it our current inmate list? We were about 126 inmates, and we normally house at a max capacity about 120. So we actually had to email the judge to figure out ways we had to move our marshals out because we have so many more locals that are coming in.
It's not. a
put some
good thing.
cages down in the basement.
What's that?
Put some cages down in the basement.
Oh, we'll get wrestling mats down there now for our training.
So we're, when you say locals, like what was it? Is it,
YPD holds, highway patrol holds.
what are they people actually, who are from here? Are they people who are, getting out of prison and then they reoffend? I mean, what, like?
There's a small majority of those that we do get, but
Okay.
it just the calls for service for the city PD have gone up. The highway patrol comes in and they do their thing, and so we get stuck with some of theirs. We have our own calls for service that we generate. It's just a changing time where there's just a lot more. So we currently are moving some marshals out just because we have no room for our own local stuff.
And
the DOC holes that we've talked about in the past.
And that's, gonna significantly impact everybody's budget because, that has been historically something that has generated some revenue for the county. And once that's depleted, that's, it's been out around $1 million or so.
On page 7, on the
Yeah.
bottom right corner there, about just under 1.4
So
million.
what basically, we're gonna lose another revenue source and we'll have, more costs and less revenue.
Now, this is pretty common for the summer months, just because it's nicer out. It's been so hot that nobody drinks water with their alcohol, and so then they make bad decisions. And so the summer months, it is typically that it goes up higher. The marshal stuff will still come back around, I think, at some point, but you are right.
there are just a lot more local stuff that happens. We're the 9th largest county in the state of South Dakota, and the lake area is like the #2 attraction for, you know, South Dakota for people to come visit, I think.
It looks to me like, we rely pretty heavily on filling that jail up with outside sources out of the county. What are we doing for, I'll say a marketing plan to keep the other counties bringing prisoners here and the state and the vets?
Well, with the recent governor allowing more Department of Correction holds, that's why Minnehaha County they had to open up a whole new floor. They had a whole new jail that they weren't even using, but they had to open it up because of the Department of Correction holds. And in state statute, it's only $95 a day that you get. I think right now we're at 9 DOC holds, you know, but Minnehaha County has probably, 100. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It just depends on what we're.
Well, I mean, I think this goes back to the fundamental thing is that, is the attitude of the state. If they have somebody in prison and they can get that person out of prison, they wash their hands, and it benefits the state because they're no longer paying for that person in detention. And whether he is successful or he or she, I guess, or they reoffend, it's not on the state's dime. It should be if that person reoffends within 3 or 5 years, the state has to pay that. But right now, they go out in the community and they reoffend. Sorry, county, it's on your dime, and that's the reason we have such a high recidivism rate. You know, and it no matter the consequence or matter what happened, the state saves money at the cost of the county and the property taxpayers. And most other states don't do it this way.
And I talked about
And most of those people who are in jail are indigent, either pay rent or don't pay rent and don't pay property taxes. So we're back to the same old, what are we going to do?
Yeah, but I guess when we're releasing all these people who aren't prepared to re-enter society, we're really getting an entire new crop of victims because they are going to commit some sort of crime.
A lot of those crimes are not victim related unless you consider yourself a victim when you use meth.
I get what you're saying.
But when those people that are not causing other issues to other people, they get put in parole or on parole, and then they can't get a job and they need to feed their habits. So that's when they start to victimize other people by like checking door handles on cars or trying to go into your house, you know.
And we're seeing that with the huge number of cases that our state's attorney is taking on, which is a cost. You're handling them in the jail. The police officers are doing that. And then, you know, ultimately that's leading to more people in our jail. So I don't have all the answers, but you know.
Well, and then
there's a cost to the citizens I mean, really, I don't know when, but South Dakota has become soft on crime. It's kind of a.
And then our travel training budget, and I talk about, we just, like I said, last meeting, we had to go down to Houston, Texas to pick up somebody on probation, not even on parole yet. And with the interstate compact, we're on the hook for picking that individual up. We did have a juvenile that was in Idaho that we refused to go pick up because it was a runaway. And we were able to make the parents go out there and pick them up. So that one's for you, Wanda. Page 8, this is the jail budget proposal. This year, I just had some vacancies that I just have not been able to fill. And so I'm just going to eliminate one full-time position. And then I'm going to work with Mount Marty University. We've been doing it this way, where we have paid interns that come in, maybe run the control room as an operator. They're not out on the field with inmates. They're just answering phone calls, and they like gadgets, and that's what the control room is pretty much made of. Unlocking doors, answering phone calls. So, and it's a part-time internship, so they can get paid, and we're not necessarily moving one of our jailers up into the control room. So
You have one math error there.
what's that?
You added $10 on your spreadsheet to the salary. So,
Oh,
38 versus 48 on the jailer salaries.
30. We're at?
The first item on the line, so that might,
What page are you on, Ryan?
8, between 8 and 9. The numbers, there's a $10 difference.
Oh.
Probably doesn't affect things too much.
Yeah, I can get it fixed here.
Yeah.
$10, we got it. I brought my red pen, so, all right.
Are we on the juvenile detention budget?
Yeah, juvenile detention, nothing changed. I think last year I just didn't know what the cost was gonna do. This was $500,000. I cut 100,000 out with the state's attorney's office and losing one of their,
I think we could look at reducing that some more, and I know 20, and again, these don't have the actual costs.
well, there is the year-to-date, 104,000 on the,
Yeah, but I mean, that's a far cry from 400, and I know, it has been higher in the past, so I think that number could go down. I mean, because we're.
Well, it's with juveniles, it's just a guesstimate anyway.
It is.
How many
but-
naughty children are there gonna be
But,
this year?
but all budgets are at the end of the day a guess.
so juvenile,
And so what I've seen, I mean, year to date, I mean, yeah, we had some spikes in the past. We had one bad year. But I don't know if we need to have that at 400,000.
so the end of the year.
No, I agree, budgets are kind of
Yeah, so I mean, what is? what-
throwing a dart at a chart, but juvenile detention is a particularly,
Yeah,
I think when we get to-
Unsupported.
I think this is a place where maybe we can reduce the budget if we have to, but
Yep.
I think we should just flag it and we should
Yeah,
look at the
I'm fine
budget as a
with that.
whole and then come back to one of
Yeah.
these.
So the-
one
I
of these
think though
areas.
that we should look at this for at least a slight reduction.
Yep.
And let's move on.
Yeah,
so
yeah. this-
so the end of
top.
2026, I think year to actual date for the end of last year was $150,000 for juvenile detention holds.
Mhm.
This I updated till June and we're at 104,000, so.
Yeah.
But just letting you guys know, the state's attorney's office and one of the attorneys leaving that was mostly part of the diversion program, that may go back up too. I don't know. Unless it stays the same. But again, I got my red pen, so I marked that one down.
Sure.
So. And then 24/7. There was some, I know with State's Attorney Tyler Larson here, Chair Marquardt was talking about payments. So Pennington County got sued because they were housing people for unpaid fines towards the 24/7 program. So I've instructed staff that we don't do that. Now, if they violate their bond because they have a dirty patch, we can hold them. But if they're not paying their fines,
well, if they don't pay their fines, judge can put a warrant out on them, but
yeah, but that changed with
but that's not gonna
yeah.
make an appreciable difference.
Is the state not putting enough funding toward this? Because I mean, originally this was supposed to be mostly reimbursed by the state. I know.
No, not when you're out on bond 24/7. You can sit in jail or you can be out on bond and do 24/7, which you pay, not the state.
Remember that one time we talked about confinement fees where somebody sits in jail for local and then crimes? And they're supposed to pay us back $10 and we can't get that back because this is the same conversation we've been talking about for
Ever.
So. But Sharon Rolfs does an excellent job. She's very busy. I get a lot of compliments from the state of South Dakota about her. And how she handles business over there, so. And I don't get as many emails. Actually, I really haven't gotten any emails from the judge since she's took over, so that's
Good.
yes. And then lastly, page 12, E911 budget. Now, this is the big question mark that you guys as a commission will have to decide. I mean, I'm essentially the money funneler. I don't really have a lot to do with the E911 except for stamp bills for, Golden West, Blue Peak, Mid-Continent. The sheriff's office and the police department does share a CAD system together, the core CAD system, which is like our internal database system. And I do stamp our core one out of this account for E911 because our dispatch center has to use it. But our civil process addition, that's separate. Our jail module one, that's separate, but it's all under the same CAD system.
I'm sorry, on page 12, the last category of tangible goods, you might check the spelling of the word furniture.
Yeah, I was able to, thank you. Fred.
When the city came in to ask for funding, they kind of mentioned that they may start charging. It wasn't anything for certain. I don't know if you caught that for
I did.
dispatching. Do you think that's gonna happen? I guess is there something that is being done through the dispatch that they could charge for, or what's your thought on it, I guess?
It was actually the first time I heard of it
Well, yeah.
at the meeting.
I wouldn't think that, I don't understand why the city would charge us to dispatch the sheriff and the ambulance, but.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've talked about stuff in the past about, you know, if they have city warrants, if we'd hold them in the county jail and not charge them for that, you know, I don't want to go back and forth and nickel diming everybody about everything. And maybe that's just a meeting that, you know, a couple of you guys are, you know, I'd be more than happy to sit in there and discuss it. I just don't know why. Yeah, I mean, most counties don't do that, or cities, but.
So I don't have any questions at this time. So.
And if you guys do, you guys got my cell phone number.
Yep.
We're getting our emails changed. So there's gonna be a little hiccup along the way. So for some reason you can't get a hold of me on my super old email, my current email, or my new email, you can call my cell phone.
Hopefully this is the last time we do this for a very long time, but we should all be on one a week.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm glad because that's one of my biggest concerns is about the cyber attacks that our county is gonna endure at some point. It only takes one time to really cost your county.
Thanks, Sheriff. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, great job.
Yeah, thank you guys.
He's right.
Justin.
Yeah, so you'll have to ask.
Welcome.
Right.
You can go ahead and start.
Okay. Yep, so this is, I've been here one year now, so I kind of jumped into this in the middle when we cut 10% out of operating expenses. So if we want to start with, I have two budgets for the government center and the safety center. We could start with the government center.
Yeah.
So personnel expenses, this now reflects my full staff. So we essentially gained 3 people for building and grounds, myself and 2 other people. So that had to be adjusted.
You added some people then? Or what?
So we had I had our full crew. So myself, a maintenance technician, and then the custodian. So we're staffed now at 4 people, including myself. So that's what that reflects. So that changed a little bit.
Was that not on the government budget prior to, or what? Because I see, I see the last year's budget was 76,000. Now it's 105,935.
Two of them, I'm asked, and I'm like the former superintendent.
Was it just budgeted for 2? We haven't actually gained any. Why is the salary so much higher than?
So myself and my custodian, we're split between this building and safety center. And then I have a full-time employee that's just out of the government center. And then one full-time employee that's out of safety center. And then that's with the 2.5% increase and did you guys get a copy of this
Yes,
paperwork
it's
here?
in,
Okay, good. That has all the math and calculations I did for them.
I think just from what we've seen before, Justin, on the liability insurance for both, I don't think you have to have that high for those.
Yeah, I was looking at that. It's like, that's a big jump
Which one?
for the insurance.
It's the liability, the 421.
Yeah, that's a $60,000 increase.
Mhm. Yeah, current budget 30 and going to 90, that's.
So I think if that would be cut down to 30,000, I think you'd be fine.
Yeah.
Oh, are you looking at operating expenses here?
No,
I'm not seeing that on the,
you have that up to 90. Or did you?
no, I gave the revision.
Did I?
Remember? Oh, you didn't get the you didn't get the revision. Yeah, cause, that's been revised. Yeah, so it's 30. That
Oh,
was 30.
okay.
Yep, under operating expenses, insurance.
It's still, the total, even with that, your total is.
Let me-
Last year's budget was,
Let me copy.
Yeah, give them a copy of these. But yeah, while she's making a copy of that, I just want to say that this first year was getting this department back on its feet. There was a lot of stuff to do. I've got our staff in a good routine. I've got a system for work orders, opened up the communication line between all the departments. So we're performing a lot more than I think has been done in the past. It's been a lot of work getting the supply numbers. So one of the biggest things was getting inventory and trying to put predictability into some of these categories like repairs and maintenance, supplies. Those have been kind of a Pandora's box. Supplies, I got really dialed in now. That was a big one. Getting that tightened up. To where we can actually predict and have an actual number for supplies we use, paper products, cleaning chemicals. Oh yes, air filters. So that's a huge expense. Air filters. I don't think it's been accurately taken care of the way it should have been. So that's a big expense. For example, the unit here in this building takes 25 filters. They cost anywhere from $7 a filter, and they get paid $7 a filter. Yes. So, that's a big expense because they get changed minimum every 3 months. But during the summer, they could get changed monthly. They build up that fast, and then that puts more strain on the HVAC system, things like that.
No, it's all is. Yep.
Sorry, Justin, that was my phone.
You have my the
Oh,
Guess, gotta maintain buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't,
So really the only major increase is you're fully staffed now.
Yeah, that's the major one. So that was the biggest one. Our operating expenses, for this building, I added, so now $500 for rentals. And the reason I did that, so another expense is our memorial and flags. So that's a huge expense, with flags.
How many flags do you buy in a year?
So that's the thing. I don't have enough data to do that. So what I want to do is have one flag on the pole and then another one on hand. So if we need to change it out. So, and it really varies with flags. There's really no predictability to when it's going to wear out and get tore up. So that one's kind of hard to predict. And the reason I have rentals at that high is because I need to change the halyards on the memorial poles. They've gotten.
Is that the rope?
Yep, that's the rope.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
I know, I've learned so much about flags since I took this over. Those need to get changed, and unlike regular flagpoles, like our large one outside, out front, those ones, I actually have to get a lift and go up there, manually take off the caps, restring it. They're not ones you can just string up from the ground like the other ones. So that's why I have rentals right there. So I'll need to rent a lift and see what happens there, with that.
I think we're good. I don't have any questions.
Yeah, I
at this
think,
time.
the updated sheet, definitely, yeah,
All right.
made it clear, yeah.
So keep up the good work. The place looks great and the monument looks good, and appreciate all your hard work. So thank you. Transit,
Barb,
where would these be at, Patty? Under the
these
other
are
funds?
well, the one is under you,
Other funds? Or
the, Yankton Transit is under you, under the commission.
Why don't you give us your spiels?
Okay. My name is Barbara Linsky. I'm Operations Director for Southeast Public Transit. Public transit is not a luxury. It's an essential infrastructure. It connects people to healthcare, jobs, education, services they need to live independently. Each year, we provide approximately 100,000 rides throughout Southeast South Dakota, including more than 77,000 rides for Yankton County residents. Last year alone, we provided more than 19,000 medical trips for 672 individuals. For those riders, transportation is the difference between receiving treatment and going without care. The need for these services continues to grow, but our funding has not kept pace. This year, we've lost approximately $105,000 in federal, state, and local funds. At the same time, the cost of replacing a bus has increased from $87,000 in 2021 to nearly $147,000. With maintenance and labor costs rising as well. About 2/3 of our riders are low income, so raising fares isn't a realistic option. We continue to pursue grants, service contracts, do advertising on the buses, and other revenue sources. The local investment remains critical. Today, I'm asking the Yankton County Commission to increase its annual support to Southeast Public Transit to $10,000,
What did we give you last year?
$2,500. That comes out to about 13 cents a ride, because our cost to give a ride is around $10.40. So, for 13 cents per ride, you can help ensure residents can reach medical appointments, get to work, remain independent, and stay connected to their communities.
You said we did 2,500 last year.
Yes. That was down from 5,000 previous year.
I think, you know, you guys do great service to the community, and I understand, yeah, full well, the federal government, a lot of those grants are gone, and it doesn't look like they're coming back in the state as well. And you know, we're really feeling the crunch too. I know you're from Yankton, I assume, or
I am not. I'm from Vermillion,
Okay.
but I supervise both.
sure, and
Both.
and
places.
we're really seeing it at the county level too. I mean, we're financially struggling as well. I guess I'm fine maintaining funding for you guys, because I think you do great, but I don't know if we can, you know, increase the amount that we're giving away at this time. So
Just thought I'd ask.
yeah, hey, there's no harm in asking, and I don't know how the rest of the commission feels. Money's probably the tightest it's ever been, and this is probably a time where we don't significantly increase funding. I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe you guys feel different, but appreciate what you do. I know it's a
Thank you.
great program, so
Thank you.
thank you. Afterwards,
Under other,
This is other.
oh, look at 412.
I don't know what 412 is.
That's what pathways is.
You go by numbers. I don't go by numbers. I look up here and see it says coil conservation, mental illness, mentally
thank you,
handicapped,
sir. Appreciate it.
catastrophic.
The numbers are in order, so it helps.
It's under public welfare.
Hello, I'm Dennis Conkler. I'm the finance director for Pathway Shelter for the Homeless. Nobody wants to talk about homeless, but it's something that we face. I'm glad I was here listening to the sheriff talk, because you know, we're trying to help people get back on their feet. We're trying to make them productive, tax-paying citizens. And it was interesting to hear him talk about what the state pays for them to house people. In our reentry program, we get $43 a day to assist people, house them, feed them, help them get back on their feet. I wish I could say that our success rate was 100%, but it's not. But the people we do help, it's probably 50% of the people that come through our shelter, we're able to help get them to be productive citizens. Currently, we have 24 families on our wait list. We have 15 men, 19 women, and we have 4 people, which could be families too, on our wait list for our ADA room. You know, our program serves the immediate needs of individuals and families experiencing homelessness within the Yankton area. In 2025, we provided 10,254 bed nights to 28 families and 63 individuals. We've noticed now our stays are becoming longer. We used to, you know, have people in and out usually within 90 days, but now we're seeing longer term, you know, individuals. So far in 2026, we've had 114 clients in the shelter. And most of the people we serve are residents or former residents of Yankton County. In 2025, our reentry program housed 52 parolees. And during the year, about 46.2% of people were employed. And not only do we help them find employment, we help them find housing. And like I've said, become productive citizens.
What's the success rate for the reentry program? Because I think when Jesse came here, he said it was about 25% success rate or something. I guess there was a significant number like people who reoffended on that program, at least at that time. Do you have?
Well, I'm just going by, I can only go by, I joined Pathways in July of 2025.
Okay.
So I can only go by the statistics that, we've been able to see. And honestly, this might sound judgmental, but I can tell within 3 days of somebody coming in our reentry program if they're going to make it or not. Just their attitude. We have rules that we expect you to follow. Everybody in our program, including adults in the shelter, you're required to PBT, a personal blow test twice a day. If you don't do that, we have a 3 strikes you're out program. You've got 3 opportunities on, to do it. Well, twice a day. If you miss 3 of them, sorry,
You're out.
You're out. We don't have the funds to babysit people. And not bashing other homeless shelters, but other places I've lived, they've had people just come in at a certain time in the afternoon, you leave certain time in the morning. It's more like a, babysit. We're trying to actually help people. We help them get, mental health. We have requirements like our reentry people. One of the requirements is if you've had a drug problem, you're either in an AA program or an NA program. I mean, that's one of the requirements. Some people don't like us for that, but if we can't help, if you don't want the help, then we don't have time to help.
Well, sounds like you guys, got routine and discipline that probably needed, And that's telling. If you could tell within a couple of days if people are going to make it. That's
what's nice about our youth program. We're running between a 75-80% success rate. Simply because they come in the program, they have 6 months. We help them get GEDs. We help them, do all sorts of things. But here again, we have requirements. And what I've seen with the 18 to 24-year-olds, they come from homes where there probably been drug, alcohol problems. They don't want to live that life, and they're really looking for help. So they're more malleable than, older people. So that program's been very successful. We also have our rehousing, where we help people with back rent, arrears on their utilities. In fact, last month we spent over $6,000 helping people out. So
I'm reading the reentry stats, and it said, we had 312 cases in 2025, which led to a 21% successful outcome. That rate increased to 27% for individuals who stayed 14 days or more.
Yeah,
which I think is good. I guess from the county commission perspective is when we, if we brought in 300 and 12 people, and there was a 21% success rate. I mean, that's a significant amount of people who were not maybe successful, depending on what that means. But, that's an increase on sheriff service if they reoffend, increase on the jail if they commit a new crime, which I'm not saying everybody does, but increase on the court system as well. That is not a good thing for the community. You know,
Yeah.
would, I mean, if somebody, and you said, you know, a lot of them are from Yankton, which is good. But if we're moving somebody, you know, looking at your radius here, I don't know. Cause it,
Well, our radius is actually 60 miles.
cause it's like Sioux Falls and Sioux City and North Fork and O'Neill and stuff. But if we move somebody to Yankton, you know, with a 70% chance that they're not gonna make it, and they become a resident here, then, you know, we have to expend our resources, you know, to take care of them. I don't have a better solution. And I appreciate how high of a rate you do have with the juveniles. It's just, you know, that's kind of the perspective I have. And I know you're doing everything you can, but.
Yeah, and you know, if people don't want the help, they don't want to change, there's really, you know, we give them the opportunity. And it's, you know, since I've been there've been a couple people that had been in the program, left, because they didn't want to do it and realized it was, you know, they needed the help and they've come back. So, and successfully completed the program, became productive, you know, citizens in the community. So
that's ultimately the goal.
That's the goal. And
you got a tough task ahead of you.
So the 73% that get the 33 strikes and you're out, what happens to those people?
I don't know. I can't tell you. I can guess.
You just basically say, you're not welcome here anymore.
Right.
Go find someplace else to hang your hat.
There are some of people, like we recently had one of the reentry ladies who had a serious drug addiction problem. And she just couldn't, I think she lasted a week. And she kept wanting to come back, and we said, we will get you help.
Mhm.
So we were able to get her, I don't remember, went to HSC or one of the other programs. We were able to get her in that so that she can go through serious drug treatment program. You know, each case is different, so you have to address those cases. One of the other interesting things to me is like the reentry people, when they get out of jail and they come to us, all of their identification has disappeared. So we, you know, out of our pockets, because there's no grants or anything to cover it, we have to get them a copy of their birth certificate, then help them get, you know, some kind of an ID, you know, get a new social security card because, you know, that's disappeared. And, you know, that, like, none of that is covered by any of the grants we receive. That's all out of pocket expense. So,
And it's, you know, and that's part of it would be dealing with that. I mean, going to the register of deeds and getting all the birth certificates and all that as well. No, it's a tough job. You know, 21% of the reentry people were for violent offenses.
Are what?
They says 21% for the reentry were for violent offenses, with the majority of those having drug or alcohol use as a contributing factor.
yes.
And, you know, I guess, you know, the concern that I get is, are we, for the reentry program, what is the criteria the state has to send them to Yankton? I mean, are there other reentry programs in the state? Are we the
Very
only
few.
one? Okay.
You
so-
can pearl out to anywhere that you want to go that you have an address.
Yeah, but here's my concern with it is, we know the state, just wants to get people out of prison. Okay, and so we're getting people who probably don't have a lot of ties to Yankton coming here.
That's
And-
one of our requirements,
Okay,
is that
so-
you have some kind of tie.
So what would?
The state doesn't just shove people out and go, let's send them to Yankton. People get to pick where they want to parole to.
Well, and we require them to fill out paperwork. And one of the things for us to accept them is they've got to have some kind of,
Hmm.
you know, some ties to Yankton, be it family, being formerly here. I mean, it's just, we don't take any
Okay.
sex offenders, murderers, if they have those types of violent crimes.
What about like rape or anything like that?
No.
Okay, so
Rape.
what would the violent offenses be that?
Egg assault is a violent offense. Sexual contact with a child under the age of 12 is considered a violent offense.
Yeah.
Burglary of a home, first degree, which would be after sunset or before dawn, those are considered to be violent offenses. Ask your legislators. They're the ones that pick.
Yeah, so like the sexual offenses, you're not allowed in, because we have families.
Okay.
Some of the families have small children. You're not allowed in our facility. And when we exit you, depending on why you were exited, you're not allowed on our grounds for at least another year. And we've exited some people for life because of, you know, what they do. And it's sad that drugs and alcohol are the two major causes of why, you know, people are where they're at. So.
What did we give you last year and what are you asking for this?
You've been giving us 10,000 since 2019.
Is that what you're asking for again?
Yeah, we would like to maintain that.
I'm sure you're affected by state and federal budget cuts as well.
Yes. It's been interesting. So
I think we'll work on that and when we do the final budget, we'll let you know where we're at.
all right.
Appreciate
Really
you, sir.
appreciate.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
You bet.
I don't envy your jobs whatsoever.
We don't envy yours either.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You guys want to do mine quick?
Sure.
Go ahead. Mine went up just a little bit.
Yeah, we'll be back for more.
Did you have a 2.8?
Kind of later.
2.5,
Today,
that's a total.
this does me no good.
What?
This expenses, I gotta know what revenue is.
I'm not quite done with that. I'm gonna have it done for the next Tuesday's meeting.
This looks good.
This is just the ask portion.
Yep.
I'm fine with that. I know we're gonna go over on elections, but
Well,
next year should be a lot.
I'm gonna redo the elections because with the new law that the city went with, November for their elections.
Should be
You
a
know,
little less.
And we don't have any
Yeah.
elections next year, so I have an agreement right now with the city because, we're gonna have a ballot this year in November anyway. And so I said, well, we'll just have it with the November, they decided to have it with the November election. So I'm just have to, figure out what to build the city for that.
Do we?
But I'm gonna read, because next year we don't have any, but the city might have one.
Yeah.
So there will be a new agreement with the new auditor with the city.
Is that the same with the school board? Because the school.
Yep, the school goes in June,
Okay.
so there'll have to be agreements with those two.
Okay, and they'll like next year will be, say the school board has an election in the city, those would be solely, would we run that election for them then? Or would they run that on their own? How's it-
That's what you guys will have to decide what you want to do.
So if we do it, then we'd have to charge them for the time
Yep,
and effort. and-
yep. And as long as it's in November and if, you know, we're engaged already with to order the ballots and things like that. I mean, now that's just gonna be up to you guys to decide.
Sounds good.
So is hand counting ballots a big money saver?
Well, I think going from a vote center to a precinct would be a major cost increase. Because don't we have 22 precincts? We have 5 vote centers now. We have 22 precincts, and manning those precincts and the personnel and all of that would be.
Yeah,
Insane.
you'd have to have poll workers for all those and,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a whole.
I feel like,
different
yeah, if you distributed that far, like, you know, you have the big push for election security.
Mhm.
You've now created
Yeah,
way
and
more,
Yeah.
points of attack.
Well, in like where would, like I live in Central Township, which is a precinct, where would you even go vote? Cause the. whole-
Yeah, you'd have to designate a whole new precincts
Yeah, it would
and
be.
things like
it'd be
that.
a mess.
Yeah.
When
I
is the
think-
next meeting?
We have a,
Well, I'm gonna have on the agenda next Tuesday, time for budget discussion. And then August 18th. I'd like to have the provisional, or you guys approve the provisional budget. Cause I have to advertise for 2 weeks.
When
And-
are we gonna do the revenue portion of it?
I will get, like I said, I'll get that at the, I'll have that ready for you at the next commission meeting next Tuesday. I'll have that ready for you and give to you.
Okay.
And then, September 15th,
But I mean, we usually do a separate meeting, but and the reason I asked, we usually do a separate meeting because we haven't heard from 4-H yet. We haven't heard from conservation yet. I mean, are those?
so we don't have really those anymore, except for,
I mean, I did do,
And
Madison.
we
With
do
the
IT
conserver,
and.
and IT is still in work right now, so.
so
Yeah,
if you want to have another meeting, we can still discuss that then on September 15th, and then
On what 15?
that's the second commission meeting in September.
Okay.
And then you could have that next week, you could have a special meeting to approve the provisional as the annual, because it has to be approved by October 1st.
okay, so we would be doing a provisional on the 18th this year.
Yes, I'll
Thank
do
you.
that so
Okay.
I can advertise it.
I guess I would.
Our big discussion's gotta cover, we find out what the projected revenues are. It's, they were good. It's nothing. It's their request. We gotta know what kind of revenues are coming in, so we can know what kind of cuts or if we can approve everything.
It'd be a lot easier.
I guess I would
That's what
propose.
you have to do.
We'll have the revenue number
I get
next
it.
Tuesday.
You get your budget and then you gotta work your revenue. That's the way it
Yeah.
works.
I
is
would-
The
I
budget
would-
and then revenue.
I would propose if we could, next Friday on the 7th, we have, instead of just getting those numbers, because I imagine Tuesday meeting might be pretty busy. If we have something on like a Friday, I think that doesn't.
So
work
you don't
best.
want to have budget discussion
Well,
on next Tuesday.
Why don't we have budget discussions at a county commission meeting where all these people can show up and
But I
give
don't-
their comments on how we're just
what it's gonna
frivolously
be is
spending money? Because during the day, apparently they don't care.
Nothing
I think it's fine.
controversy.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll leave
We
it on.
don't have a huge agenda on next Tuesday. I think it's just
And
fine
you
to
can
have
decide then,
budget
you
discussion.
can decide then if you want to have another one that week.
And we decide if we need to have another one before the provisional then, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so,
Because really it'll be, and here is the revenue that we're projecting. We need to add that up, look at all the expenses and see where we're gonna be at. Because, Brian Hunoff, we're gonna get about what, around $600,000 of additional revenue. So all the departments, the maximum they can all increase is that, the ambulance alone is going up 112,000. So now all the other departments, we're looking at 500. That includes highway and all those. It's gonna take a little bit of time to figure it out. So, but I'm fine with that.
Okay.
all right, yeah, I think, and then Tuesday night, we can decide on if we need another meeting to discuss it further before the provisional approval on the 18th.
I think.
We still have time to change it then from the 18th until we do the final approval in September. So there's lots of process here. We just started it.
And you would start early, but with that
Election.
election new and,
Yeah.
so we have plenty of time to get it done.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Dan,
Second.
second by Ryan to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
You guys.
Meeting is adjourned.
I want to, get something with you. It's done.
Where our big gap is at the